Baby Juan took a bite of a big piece of pig head meat, his cheeks bulged, and he praised it while eating. Shangguan Xian ate a piece of cuttlefish. Her eyes lit up again, and she ate faster. Sure enough, there are delicious foods when the baby is around. After all, given the baby's body shape, you can tell at a glance that he eats a lot of delicious foods. Eat as much as you can, there's plenty in the pot. The old lady smiled so happily that her eyebrows curved. The children ate so happily that she was happier than she was. Grandma, I brought you a gift. Bao Bao Wan ate half a bowl of stewed food to satisfy her craving, then took out something wrapped in cotton cloth from her bag and handed it to the old lady with both hands. What is that? It's so mysterious. The old lady took the handkerchief with a smile. At first she didn't take it seriously, thinking it was a pastry that children like to eat. But after opening the handkerchief, she was stunned. It turned out to be a wild ginseng with a strong medicinal smell. She could feel the medicinal power just by taking a whiff of it. Kid, did you take this from home? Take it back now. The old lady was startled and hurriedly wrapped the handkerchief and wanted to return it to Wan Bao Bao. She thought the little girl had stolen it from the house. My mother gave it to me. Grandma, take it and eat it. Baby Wan didn't take it and told the old lady that his mother knew about it and it was not stolen. The old lady didn't believe it. She thought that no adult would give such precious ginseng to a child. It's true, Grandma. Please use it to get medicine. My baby, and I still want to eat your stewed food. Potato said with a smile. The old lady's eyes suddenly turned red. She turned her back and wiped them. Then she turned back and said with a deliberately stern face, I am in good health. I don't want any medicine. Adults love to lie. I heard it all. Grandma, please take your medicine and don't close the store, okay? Baby Wan pouted. She discovered very early on that adults always tell children not to lie and to be honest, but adults are the ones who love to lie the most, and they lie almost every day. Also, adults tell children not to eat too much sugar, but they themselves eat a lot of sugar. So, Wan Bao Bao concluded that the things adults ask children to do are things that adults themselves cannot do. The last time she came over, she heard Grandma and Gon's mother say that she was not feeling well and wanted to sell the store. Gon's mother asked her to cooperate with the doctor and take medicine. I can't buy wild ginseng that's 30 years old for medicinal purposes, even if I have the money. Anyway, I've lived a good life, so let it be. The old lady explained the reason. It was not that she didn't want to cooperate, but that there was no wild ginseng. The wild ginseng in Hong Kong is basically in the hands of the rich. The ones that can be bought in the pharmacy are basically cultivated and have poor medicinal properties. The old lady plans to close the store and spend all the pension she has saved over the years, leaving not a penny for her ungrateful children. However, the store was not transferred so quickly. Several groups of people came, but the prices they negotiated were not to the grandma's liking, so she kept it open. The old lady had wiped her tears, but when she heard the children's words, she couldn't help crying again. Her heart, which had long been cold and numb, was warmed by the children's innocence and kindness. She took the ginseng to Wan Chi and wanted to buy it with money. No need. The baby likes your braised food very much. I gave her this ginseng. If you need any medicine, just tell me and I can find it. Wan Chi said with a smile. This is too valuable. I can't take advantage of it. The old lady insisted on giving money. She had never taken advantage of anyone. Then give me $1,000. Wan Chi gave the old lady an acceptable price and said, Let me be frank. This ginseng is not a rare thing for me. My children love the stew you cook. I think this is enough. If you must pay, just give me 1,000 yuan. The old lady was still hesitating, so Gon's mother persuaded her. Take it. They really don't need your little money. When you get better, we can play mahjong together in the future. Okay, I'll shamelessly accept it. This is my stewing recipe. It's the most valuable thing I have. Here you go. The old lady didn't have the prescription with her, and she was illiterate. She said that Gon's mother wrote it and gave the prescription to Wan Chi. Then you don't have to give me the $1,000. I'll take the recipe. Wan Chi accepted the recipe. The old lady's braised pork was famous throughout Hong Kong. Many wealthy people would come to buy it, and even TV stations came to interview her. Even big restaurants that came to invite Grandma to cooperate, but she scolded them away. The old lady said that those restaurants were dishonest and would ruin her reputation. She sold braised pork out of conscience and would rather make less money than use bad meat to pass it off as good meat and make dirty money. Under Gon's mother's persuasion, the old lady did not insist on paying and accepted the ginseng. The old Chinese doctor said that as long as she had wild ginseng, she could live at least another 10 years, maybe even longer. Grandma's mood has improved a lot. Who would want to die when they can live? When she returned to the store, she found that 4 children were helping her to serve customers. Wan Baobao was in charge of talking, Tudo was in charge of cutting, Shengguan Xian and Enzi were in charge of collecting money, and they all did their job well. Customers all liked the beautiful and cute Wan babies. Some passers-by had no intention of buying, but when they saw the cute and lively children, they couldn't help but walk into the store. Lady rushed over. There was a long line outside the store. Usually, impatient customers would curse, but today it was very quiet. No one was impatient. They all wanted to maintain a good image in front of the children. With the joining of 4 children, the braised pork that usually takes a day to sell out was sold out in just 1 hour. Many customers still didn't buy it and said they would come back tomorrow to buy it. The old lady was counting the money. Her eyes were shining with greed and her mouth was wide open. To thank the 4 children for their hard work, the old lady gave them half of the money she earned today. Your wages. Thank you, Grandma. Bao Wan took the money like a money grubber and could buy a lot of delicious food. Grandma should thank you. Thank you. The old lady bent down, hugged the 4 children one by one, and thanked them from the bottom of her heart. Her parents didn't love her since she was a child, and she was treated like a servant at home. Her husband wasn't much better after she got married, and he still treated her like a servant. Her children didn't respect her either, and she felt like a complete failure. No one likes her. It must be her fault, right? Just like everyone loves roses, but no one likes weeds, she is the weed that is hated by everyone. It is better for her to fend for herself and live well without relying on others. But now the old lady has figured it out and realized that there are people who like her. So it's not that she is bad, but those people are too bad and they don't deserve her kindness. The knot that had troubled the old lady for many years was suddenly untied, and the darkness on her face disappeared, as if she was illuminated by the sun, and her whole body became dazzling. The 4 children went to eat other delicious food, and went back home with their stomachs full and satisfied. Su Gaifeng called Anzi into the room and told him the news of his mother's death. Do Mom and Dad have a grave? I want to see them. Anzi looked calm, but his fists were clenched tightly, and he buried his hatred deep in his heart. He must become very powerful and kill all the evil people who bully his family. That night, Gon Defa and Xia Tao took Anzi to the cemetery. After Wu Yudao was killed, Wu Yuntao buried him hastily here. As for Anzi's mother, because she was an illegal resident, she was beaten to death by a customer and the nightclub threw her body into the sea. Anzi knelt down and kowtowed 3 times respectfully. His young face was full of determination, as if he had grown up overnight. The next morning, Xia Tao took Anzi to Kowloon Walled City. The Kowloon Walled City in the early morning was still full of decadence and violence. There were also young ladies who had just finished work outside, with mottled makeup on their faces and wearing cheap skirts, coming back twisting their legs. Su Gaifeng wanted to cover Anzi's eyes, but was stopped by Xia Tao. It's not that easy to be my son. Do you see the highest rooftop? Go in by yourself. No matter what happens, you have to solve it by yourself. I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop. If you can't find me, I won't accept you as my son. Wan Chichi raised her eyebrows. The layout of Kowloon Walled City was more complicated than a maze. Even adults would get lost. Anzi was only 4 years old. Wasn't this challenge too difficult? Besides, the fortress is too dangerous. Anzi is a handsome boy, and I'm afraid something might happen to him. I will find it. Anzi strode into the building without any hesitation. Good night. The Kowloon Walled City is suffocating enough when viewed from the outside, and it is even more depressing once you enter. The air is filled with a mixture of odors, including stink, fishy, moldy, sour, and rotten. Anzi was not unfamiliar with this smell. When he was in Guangzhou, he and his grandmother often went to pick up garbage. The smell in the trash can was like this, and he had long been accustomed to it. He had just memorized the direction of the rooftop and was still very confident before entering the building. But after coming in, Anzi was dumbfounded. The inside of the building was more complicated than a maze, with corridors twisting and turning and rooms one after another. He thought he had reached the exit, but after turning in, there was another corridor. After turning another corner, I arrived at someone else's house. The construction of this building was completely without any rules. It was too arbitrary. After walking for an hour, Anzi felt a little tired. He sat on the stairs to rest and think about what to do next. No matter what method he uses, he must complete the task. Anzi encouraged himself and regained a lot of strength. He stood up and looked around, but was still not sure which way to go, so he decided to ask for directions. My grandma often said that when you are out, you have to be sweet-mouthed, careful, brave, and sharp-eyed, so that even if you encounter a big pit, you can get over it.
Yeah.
The door next to him opened, and there was a creaking sound. Then a short, mean-looking man walked out, his hands still pulling up his trousers. Put it on the account and settle it together at the end of the month. The man turned around and spoke to the room, preparing to leave. You said the same thing last month, the month before, and the month before.
You have to pay the money this time.
I don't even have money to pay the rent. The woman inside grabbed the man and spoke in a bad tone. Her voice was hoarse, and she sounded quite old. If I had money, would I come here? I'm old now. I come here because I respect you. How can I still accept money? The man snorted coldly, pushed the woman away, and spoke very viciously. I've served you well, so you have to pay me. $360 in total. Here you go, Ma. The man and woman were fighting with each other. Anzi cleverly retreated to the side. Seeing that the woman was at a disadvantage and was slapped several times by the man, he thought for a moment and ran to pick up half a brick that he saw when he passed by. Anzi held half a brick, stood on a stool, and smashed it hard at the man, hitting him on the back of the head. The man screamed and turned around to look for the murderer, but Anzi had already hidden himself. He touched the back of his head, and his hands were sticky and covered in blood. Before he could react, he was hit several more times. The woman picked up a stool and smashed it like crazy. Soon the man was beaten so hard that he begged for mercy. He took out his wallet and gave all the money in it to the woman. You have no money, but you still want to act like a big shot, Ba. A 3-year-old child is more capable than you. I have to act with you every time. I am more tired than you. The woman spat in disdain. What a little turtle dove. Even if she was an easy-souled woman, she didn't want to receive such a guest. If she wasn't old and ugly, how could such a little pigeon be willing to do something stupid? The man with a bloody head ran away angrily. He did not dare to cause trouble in the building and only dared to bully the old and ugly easy-souled woman. Her 40s was heavily made up. The white powder on her face was more mottled than the wall next to her. The low-quality cosmetics were smudged, and her face looked like a ruined oil painting. Although it was dirty, you could still vaguely see her beauty when she was young. The woman lit a cigarette and puffed away as she counted the money. You're such a loser. You can't even get $500 together. You'll get hit by a car when you go out. The woman was very dissatisfied with the money in her wallet. She cursed, rolled up the money, put it into her underwear through her collar, then turned around and walked towards Anzi. Whose child are you? The woman stood crookedly, very interested in the handsome Anzi, thinking he was a new mover. Auntie, I just helped you beat the bad guy. Anzi stood up, raised his head, and talked to her bravely. He just figured it out. It would be difficult for him to find the rooftop by himself, but his new mother didn't say that he couldn't ask for help. He helped the ant with his own ability, so he thought it should be possible to let the ant lead the way, right? You want a share of the money? The woman looked alert. She had to pay the rent with the more than 400 yuan and was reluctant to part with it. But she felt a little guilty if she didn't share any of the money. After all, if it weren't for the child's help, she wouldn't have been able to get a penny. At most I'll give you half, no more. The woman reached into her collar, pulled out a roll of money, and reluctantly counted a few of them. I don't want money, Andy. Can you help me find a place? Anzi made a request. Can't find your home? Don't wander around, kid. Be careful of being caught and eaten by bad guys. The woman thought he was lost. Even though she had lived there for 5 or 6 years, she only dared to walk around on the floors she was familiar with and didn't dare go anywhere else. I want to go to the highest rooftop, probably in that direction. Anzi pointed in the approximate direction of the rooftop. He knew it was there, but he just couldn't get there. The woman frowned. According to the direction pointed by the child, they would definitely pass by Building B, where several wanted criminals lived. The Hong Kong police were still trying to catch them, those desperate criminals who killed people without blinking an eye. She also heard that one of the guys was a super pervert and that several little boys had disappeared from the building, all of which were related to this pervert. I advise you not to go there. There really is a wolf grandma there. Here's the money for you. The woman tried to dissuade him with good intentions and even stuffed money into Anzi's hand. I have something important to do, Annie. Can you show me the way? Anzi heard the woman's good intentions and was actually afraid in his heart, but he did not back down, nor did he want to implicate the woman, so he just let her show him the way. The woman saw that he was determined and did not try to persuade him anymore. Instead, she took Anzi to the entrance closest to Building B. I can only take you so far. Walk along this corridor to the end, then turn right and go upstairs. Then walk forward. I don't know the way back. You have to find it yourself. Remember my words. Don't stop, don't look around, and don't agree to anyone's orders. The woman pointed to a dark corridor ahead and gave instructions solemnly. I remember that. Thank you, Andy. Anzi nodded, returned the money in his hand to the woman, and stepped into the corridor that was even more gloomy than a haunted house without hesitation. Good luck. The woman muttered something and turned away. Anzi kept her words in mind and walked forward without looking around, with every step being extremely firm. In fact, he was very scared and his body was even shaking. The cold sweat on his forehead condensed into water beads, which slid down his face and wet his clothes. Several times he wanted to turn around and leave this horrible place, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. If he couldn't even overcome this difficulty, how could he avenge his parents? How could he let his grandmother live a good life? The new father and mother will definitely not like him. Anzi kept encouraging himself and passed through the gloomy corridor unknowingly. He turned right and went upstairs and passed through it quickly. Then he turned left and came to a dark corridor. There was not a single ray of sunlight coming in, and it was as dark as night even in broad daylight. Ah, a shrill scream rang out, scaring Anzi. He remembered the woman's words clearly, no matter what happened. He must not stop, so he ran, trying to escape from this terrible place as soon as possible. Snap, something hit him, and there was a strong smell of blood. The thing fell to the ground. Anzi looked down and was so scared that his hair stood up. It was a bloody, severed hand. The fingers were still bent and blood was still flowing. I'll only chop off one of your hands this time. If you don't have money next time, I'll take your daughter to pay off the debt. From the house, as well as the painful screams of men and the crying of women, was so frightened that his body trembled uncontrollably and his legs stopped moving. He wanted to run, but his legs were out of control and he couldn't even lift them. The front of his clothes was stained with blood, and the strong smell of blood penetrated into his nose, making him feel nauseous and want to vomit, and his head felt dizzy. Anzi was isolated and helpless at the moment, and one could feel his fear just by looking at his back. You are abusing the child. Wan Chi-Chi couldn't bear it anymore and prepared to take Anzi out. If he continued to scare her like this, the child might suffer from psychological trauma. Anzi entered the building. She and Xia Tao followed him in and followed quietly behind. They saw everything the child did along the way. Wan Chi-Chi felt that Anzi's performance was excellent, far surpassing many children of the same age, but Xia Tao was still not satisfied and said she wanted to wait and see. If he can't even overcome this, he should just go home and pick up trash. Xia Tao's tone was cold, and she didn't think she was abusing the child. Because the training she received as a child was 100 times more perverted than this. You are raising a son, not training an apprentice. Wan Qiqi reminded her. A weak person is not worthy of being my son. Xia Tao was very determined and said, I am raising my son, so don't interfere. Wan Qiqi had no choice but to shut up and silently cheer for Anzi. Anzi was still standing there stupidly, not moving a muscle, and the people in the room were about to come out. Xia Tao frowned. If the child was so frightened just like that, she would not accept him. At this moment, Anzi suddenly moved. He started running, faster than the wind. His small body burst out with huge energy. He ran forward regardless of anything, and never looked back. There's a child. A few thugs came out of the house and saw Anzi. Don't worry about the children. The leading thug didn't care. He had already run so far, there was no need to chase after him for a little kid. They didn't even look at the severed hand on the ground and walked away with a swagger. Anzi ran to the end of the corridor in one breath. He was really out of strength, so he stopped and sat down on the ground, gasping for breath. His face was covered with sweat, and his shirt chest was covered in blood. He looks like a dirty kid, his pretty face is covered, and he smells bad. Anzi got up again. He was actually very tired. His legs felt heavy, as if they were filled with lead. Every step he took was tiring. He was also very hungry and thirsty, as he had already digested all the food he had eaten in the morning. Are you hungry, kid? Do you want some beef offal soup? A kind-looking old lady came over and looked at Anzi with concern. Gulyalu. Anzi held his stomach and drooled. He really wanted to eat. And this old lady looks as kind as Grandma, so she shouldn't be a bad person, right? I have no money. Anzi searched his pockets, but found that he had no money at all, as he had lost it when he was running. It's free, come on, my beef offal soup is delicious. The old lady smiled slightly and walked forward to hold Anzi's hand. Her hands were very cold. The corridor was stuffy and hot, but Anzi could feel the chill from her, which made him feel uncomfortable all over. He hesitated for a moment, but still followed the old lady. Xia Tao frowned in the dark and said with disdain, He is so stupid. He is not qualified to be my son. A strong person, wisdom, courage, kindness, justice, and trustworthiness. None of them can be missing. At present, she saw courage and kindness, as well as trust and righteousness in Anzi, but wisdom was lacking.
But wisdom is the most important thing.
A person who is brave but not wise will not live long. Look again. Wan Qiqi felt that there should be a twist, and even if Anzi really went to Grandma's house, it would be understandable. After running for so long and being so frightened, the child must be hungry. Besides, the old lady's kind eyes were too deceptive. Anzi was only 4 years old. How could he have the ability to see through people's hearts? After walking with the old lady for a dozen steps, Anzi suddenly stopped because he remembered what the aunt said. Don't agree to anything that comes your way. There really is a wolf, Grandma. Anzi seemed to be splashed with a basin of ice water and suddenly became sober. He subconsciously tried to pull his hand away from the old lady, but failed because the old lady was very strong and held him tightly. What's wrong? The old lady lowered her head to look at him. For some reason, her face, which had been kind and gentle before, became sinister and terrifying at this angle, just like a real wolf grandmother. Anzi's back was covered in cold sweat, but he didn't dare to show any fear. Instead, he shouted, Grandma, I need to pee. Just bear with it, I'll have diarrhea after I eat the beef offal soup. The old lady still didn't let go. It hadn't been open for several months. Today, she finally found one. Although it was a little dirty and smelly, she didn't mind. I can't help it anymore, I'm going to poop. Anzi gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and urinated. The hot urine was smelly and flowed down his pants, forming a puddle on the ground. The old lady, who was very close subconsciously, let go of her hand and tried to cover her nose. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Anzi turned around quickly and ran away. The wind whistled past his ears, and he could hear the old woman's creepy cry from behind him, as if it was right next to his ear. Anzi didn't dare to look back, for he was afraid that he would be caught by the wolf grandmother if he looked back. Anzi didn't know how long he had been running, let alone where he was running to. Exhausted, he stopped and looked back. He was relieved to see that the old lady hadn't caught up with him. My grandma once said that when you are out, don't trust anyone easily and don't eat anything given by others, as they might be bad people who specialize in kidnapping children. Auntie also said, don't promise anything to anyone. He was still too careless. How could he follow the old lady? Anzi was very upset, and he must not make the same mistake again. He leaned against the wall to rest for a while and continued to move forward. It was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Anzi, who was hungry, walked very slowly. He even used his hands and feet to go up the stairs, but he did not stop and still insisted on moving forward. Xia Tao in the dark looked satisfied, but still said with disdain, "Not too stupid. That's pretty impressive. I wasn't this impressive when I was 4. Ruan Chichi was full of praise, saying that even adults might not be able to perform as well as Anzi. I was much better than this when I was 4. Xia Tao snorted softly, with a smug tone. You can't beat me now anyway. Ruan Chichi also snorted and added, when he was young, he was powerful, and when he grew up, he was stupid. Xia Tao rolled her eyes at her and left. At this time, Anzi was actually not far from his destination. There was only a corridor, less than 50 meters away. He could see the rooftop as long as he walked past it. However, the exit was in someone else's house. If he wanted to get through, he had to pass through someone else's house. It was getting dark at this time. Anzi, who had only eaten breakfast and had not drunk a drop of water, was tired, thirsty, and hungry. He licked his dry lips, pressed his stomach hard, and raised his legs to continue searching. He had searched back and forth 3 times and checked every exit, but none of them led to the rooftop. Anzi stopped to think there must be something wrong. He had to think about it carefully. He learned his lesson and did not ask adults for directions. Instead, he asked his teenage brothers and sisters and found the place easily. The sister who was showing him the way said with certainty that he would reach the rooftop by crossing this corridor. If you don't have something important to do, don't go. His sister advised him not to go to the rooftop, her tone very worried. He said he had something very important to do and had to go to the rooftop. His sister then showed him the way and said, "Be careful. That man is very fierce and will hit you." Anzi slapped his head hard. He was so stupid. When his sister spoke, her eyes were evasive, which meant that she felt guilty. My sister feel guilty? Maybe she didn't tell the truth? Anzi patted his groggy head again. He had not eaten for a long time, and his blood sugar was a little low. His brain reacted very slowly. He leaned against the wall and slowly sorted out the clues. At first he thought that the fierce man his sister was talking about was referring to the residents living in the corridor, but almost every household on both sides of the corridor on this floor kept their doors closed and was very quiet. Either he is not at home, or he just doesn't like to go out. My sister was talking about was a specific person, and you would definitely run into that person if you go to the rooftop. So, to get to the rooftop, you have to go through this person's house. Finally figured it out, Anzi was immediately cheered up. No wonder he couldn't find it after searching 3 times. It turned out the exit was in someone else's house. Anzi did not blame his sister for not telling the truth. She must have been afraid that something might happen to him, so she refused to tell the truth. His sister was well-intentioned. Victory was just around the corner, and Anzi was extremely excited. He went door to door, trying to find the one with an exit. He pushed every door, but almost none of them would open. When he reached the last door, Anzi pushed it gently, and the door opened. He was delighted and straightened his posture, preparing to greet the people inside. But the door suddenly opened, and a burly man with a face full of flesh suddenly appeared, cursing. Who the heck is looking for death? The man looked outside, but there was no one. Duck, you're joking with me. Don't let me find out, I will kill you. The man thought it was a prank and started cursing. Uncle, it's me. Anzi was startled at first, but quickly adjusted himself, raised his head and greeted politely. The man lowered his head suddenly and saw a dirty and smelly child, who was not even as tall as his knees. duck, you little jerk, go to heck." Without thinking, the man kicked Anzi several meters away and slammed the door. Anzi, who was lying on the ground, got up after a long time. He bent over, covered his lower abdomen, and looked very painful. "It hurts." It seemed like his intestines were kicked off. His sister didn't lie to him. This bad guy was really vicious and unreasonable. It took a long time for Anzi to recover. He turned and left. He came back about 10 minutes later. He clenched his fists, walked to the door, and kicked it a few times. "Open the door, you jerk." The childish voice didn't have much momentum even though it was a curse, but it still angered the man in the room. "You little jerk is looking for death." The man opened the door menacingly, lowered his head subconsciously, and raised his hand, wanting to teach Anzi a lesson. Anzi quickly threw up 2 handfuls of wall dust, most of which went into the man's eyes. The man was blinded and tried to teach Anzi a lesson, but he couldn't see clearly and missed several times. Instead, Anzi took the opportunity to jump up and hit his crotch with his head. "Ah!" The man doubled over and screamed in pain. "You're such a jerk. You even hit kids." Anzi ran into the house, not forgetting to turn back and scold the man. After washing his eyes, the man chased after him with a ferocious look. Anzi opened the back door and saw the large rooftop. His eyes suddenly brightened up. He had finally completed the task. But there was no one on the rooftop. Aunt Ruan and Mother Xia were not there. Anzi bit his lip and ran out without hesitation. Aunt Ruan and Mother Xia would definitely not lie to him. They are so powerful that they might fly over in a moment. "You jerk, I'm going to skin you alive." The man was about to catch up and he reached out to grab her and was about to catch her. A sharp white light flashed over, and the man screamed, looking in horror at the 2 beautiful women who suddenly appeared. This rooftop is his backyard. There is no one else here except him. Where did these 2 women come from? Who are you going to skin? You're beating up even a child. You're worse than an animal. Wan Chi pulled out another whip. She had been in semi-retirement in the past few years, and the bone whip was kept in the space and rarely used. Today she had to take it out and teach this jerk a lesson. The man wanted to fight back, but he had no chance. The whip almost broke all his bones. He had been domineering on this floor for several years, but this was the first time he was taught a lesson so badly. "Stop fighting. Who are you from?" "I'm under the protection of Brother Hao." The man held his head and begged for mercy. "I am the god who enforces justice on behalf of God. I don't care if you're my brother. You can't bully my children." Wan Chi had never heard of Brother Hao and didn't know which gang he was the leader of, so he was not qualified to know her. After being beaten more than 10 times, the man lay on the ground covered with bruises. Seeing Wan Chi stop, he secretly felt lucky, thinking that it was the end. "But, want to peel off my son's skin? I think your skin is pretty good. Peel it off and use it as a lampshade for me." Xia Tao walked towards them with a cold and menacing knife in her hand. Anzi next to him was overjoyed. Did he pass Mother Xia's test? "I was wrong. I kowtow to the young master and apologize." The man felt the strong murderous aura from Xia Tao, which was definitely not something that could be achieved by killing 1 or 2 people. He finally realized that he had hit a wall. He climbed up and kowtowed to Anzi. Soon, his forehead was bleeding, but he did not stop. Instead, he kowtowed even harder. Anzi was at a loss as to what to do and couldn't help but look at Xia Tao. Xia Tao asked expressionlessly, "Deal with it yourself. Kill if you want." He also pulled out a dagger from his body and put it in his hand. The man who kowtowed felt a chill on his back. What adult would teach a child of such young age to kill people? Could this family be part of a killer organization? "Young master, I was really wrong. I was blind and didn't recognize the real man. I deserve death. I am not a human being. I am a dead pawn. My worthless life is not worth dirtying your hands. Please forgive me." Desire to survive can be flexible and slap himself in the face while begging for mercy. On the rooftop attracted quite a few people, all of whom were residents who had their doors closed. They were all dumbfounded when they saw that the bully, who had bullied them in the past, was actually kneeling in front of a little child and begging for mercy. The earth turned upside down. The sun sets in the east. A few brave neighbors mustered up the courage to walk up to the rooftop. Seeing that Xia Tao and Wan Qiqi didn't react, they moved closer. Soon, the rooftop was crowded with people who came to see the men make fun of themselves. Almost every one of them had been bullied by this bully, and it felt so good that someone finally took away their anger. Anzi raised the knife. His lower abdomen was still aching slightly. At this moment, he really wanted to kill. The tip of the knife approached the man's neck, emitting a chill. The man did not dare to resist, but he slapped himself harder and harder. Blood flowed from his swollen face, but he did not dare to stop. Anzi's hand holding the knife was shaking, his lips were tightly pursed, and he was sweating a lot due to excessive nervousness, and his face was also covered with sweat. Xia Tao looked at him indifferently and said nothing. She said she would let Anzi handle it and she would not interfere. Whether this man lived or died was decided by Anzi. The neighbors who were watching the fun were so scared that they dared not say a word. The timid ones left quietly for fear of getting into trouble. Anzi held the dagger tightly, with the tip of the knife against the man's neck, and asked, "How many people did you kill?"
No.
"No. I swear to God, I have only killed fish." The man cried out that he was innocent and tried to defend himself by crying. "I just look fierce, but I'm not really fierce. I'm a good person. You are a bad guy. You just kicked me." Anzi got so excited that he pushed the tip of the knife in his hand forward, piercing his skin and causing blood to flow. The man was so frightened that his face turned pale, and he dared not move. "I was wrong, young master. I will never bully anyone again, but I have never killed anyone. Besides, it was always others who bullied me before, even my parents. The money I worked so hard to earn from sailing was all used by my parents to buy a house for my brother.
There was no room for me.
My wife cheated on me, and the child she gave birth to was not my own. They all bullied me." The man became sadder as he spoke, tears streaming down his face. It seemed like his feelings were genuine and not made up. "I went to settle accounts with the adulterer, but he beat me up. The adulterer went too far and kicked me out of my home. I was penniless and homeless, so I jumped into the river. But I was a good swimmer, so I didn't die after several attempts." The man was crying so hard that he was out of breath. Anzi couldn't bear it anymore. He retracted the knife and asked, "Why don't you jump off the building? Jumping from a building is too painful."
"I'm afraid."
"You can also eat rat poison." Anzi came up with another idea. In the alley where he and his grandmother lived, an Annie died from eating rat poison. The man said nothing and looked a little embarrassed. In fact, he simply didn't want to die. He wiped his tears and continued to tell his story. "I jumped into the river several times and finally figured it out. I can't be too kind, and I have to be a little bit fierce. So I ran back and beat up the couple. They were so scared that they peed themselves and moved away obediently." Anzi frowned and asked, "You have your own house. Why do you want to live here? You're also robbing other people's houses." "How bad?" Someone in the crowd called out. "This house is next to the rooftop and is the tallest building in the city. A mother and son used to live here, but this bully insisted on living here and drove them away." "What a piece of shoot." The man whispered, "I heard that those who live here are all bad people. I wanted to come here to practice my courage. This is the most comfortable room in the whole building. I didn't bully the mother and son. They live in my house. We take turns living here. My house is much better than this one. Then why do you bully us?" The neighbors asked questions. "I've already said that I'm here to practice my courage, so I naturally need to find someone to practice with. You guys aren't good people anyway." The man answered very confidently. He couldn't bring himself to kill ordinary people, but few of the people living on this floor were good people. They were either easy-souled women or thieves. He had no psychological burden to kill them. After several years of training, he has indeed become braver and more ferocious. Now, when he walks on the street, even children on the roadside can be scared to tears. He is so powerful. He also found that after becoming a villain, things went more and more smoothly for him and no one dared to say no to him, unlike before when he would be scolded for reasoning with people, so he decided to continue being a villain to the end. The man finished his story. Although his experience was a bit tragic, no one sympathized with him. A fool who likes to go to extremes, either being an incompetent good guy or an arrogant villain, can't he strike a balance? You are too stupid. What you should do is not to build up your courage, but to read books and exercise your brain. Anzi put away the knife and gave the man a lecture in a serious tone. Yes, master is right. I will go buy some books soon. Can master recommend some? The man let out a long sigh and asked in a very flattering manner. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Anzi thought about it and mentioned a book. He had only read the comic book and it was incomplete. It was about the rescue of a doe at Changbampo. Zhao Zilong broke into the enemy camp alone, went in and out 7 times, killed more than 50 generals of Chao's army, successfully rescued a doe, and handed him over to Liu Bei. As a result, Liu Bei threw a doe to the ground and successfully won Zhao Zilong's heart. He didn't quite understand what he saw, so he went to ask Grandpa Liu, and then he understood Liu Bei's intention. Liu is a retired university teacher. He is very educated, but he wears a hat and lives alone. Sometimes when Grandma cooks, she will ask Grandpa Liu to come and eat, and Grandpa Liu will tell him stories. He likes listening to Grandpa Liu telling stories, especially the stories of the Three Kingdoms, and he can learn a lot from each story. Liu said that as long as you read the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, you can become a very powerful person. Therefore, Anzi gave some advice to men reading Romance of the Three Kingdoms to nourish their brains. Thank you for your advice, young master. I will go buy the Romance of the Three Kingdoms and read it now. The man was about to stand up and run away, but was stopped by a long knife. Xia Tao looked at him coldly, and he was so scared that he immediately knelt back obediently, not daring to move. I wonder if we can give him one chance, and if he can't change, then kill him? Anzi asked very seriously. He felt that this bad guy did not deserve the death penalty and could still be saved. I will definitely change. I will definitely be a good person in the future. I promise. The man immediately pointed to the sky and swore, fearing that if he was a step slower, Xia Tao's knife would chop him down. It's up to you to decide. Xia Tao did not object. She kept her word. The man on the ground was finally relieved. He collapsed on the ground, tears streaming down his face. He feels so wronged. I'm going to buy Romance of the Three Kingdoms later to nourish his brain. This kid is so smart at such a young age. He must have been reading Romance of the Three Kingdoms since he was young. Darn, he should have read it earlier. Maybe he would have become a big boss now. Wan Chichi took out some water and barbecued pork buns from her bag and asked Anzi to fill his stomach. The 3 of them left the building, and Gondefa was waiting outside. Let us go back and eat. My mother has made a lot of delicious food. Gondefa didn't ask anything and drove back home. Baby Juan ran over happily, wanting to play with Anzi, but as soon as he got close, he covered his nose tightly and said in disgust, It stinks, Anzi. Did you play with poop? No, I peed my pants. Anzi explained shyly that he had no choice, otherwise he would not have been able to escape. I stopped peeing when I was 2 years old. Baby Juan raised her chin proudly. She is so well behaved. I won't pee anymore. Shengguan Xian also said this very proudly. Anzi's face turned even redder. Gon's mother held back her laughter and gently took him to take a bath. This was her grandson. After taking a bath, Anzi became a pretty and refreshed child again. Dinner is ready, but before eating, there is one important thing. Anzi, they will be your parents and grandparents in the future. You must be obedient and sensible and be filial to them. Su Gaifeng gave serious instructions with tears in his eyes. Anzi nodded vigorously, knelt down in front of Gondefa and Xia Tao, kowtowed sincerely, and shouted loudly, Dad, Mom. Give. Xia Tao took out a red envelope and flicked it lightly, and the red envelope flew into Anzi's hand. Similarly, Gon's father and mother also prepared red envelopes and asked Anzi to burn incense to the ancestors of the Gon family. From now on, your name is Gon Onbai. After you take back the Wu family's property, you can change your surname back to Wu. Gon Defa said. Came home carrying a bag of books. Wan Qiqi lay on the recliner with her eyes closed. Her appearance had not changed much from 15 years ago. Standing next to Wan Baobao, they looked like sisters. Mom, is there anything to eat? Baby Wan went to the refrigerator to find something to eat. Go to the cafeteria and eat by yourself. Wan Qiqi was lazy. She didn't want to cook when the weather got hot. The cafeteria had everything anyway. Let's go down and eat later. Baby Wan took out half a watermelon from the refrigerator and ate it with a spoon. Her appetite was still as good as when she was a child, and she would eat 5 or 6 meals a day. After all, the college entrance examination is next month. Can you pretend to be working hard and forget about food and sleep? Wan Qiqi opened her eyes and saw the demigods and semi-devils on the table. She rolled her eyes speechlessly. There's only half a month left. Do you think I can get a high score if I work so hard? Bao Wan scooped a large spoonful of watermelon into his mouth and asked a question in return. Wan Qiqi, it seems to make some sense. Mom, when will my brother come back? After eating half a watermelon, Wan Baobao wiped it with her sleeve and missed her brother a little. Have no idea. Wan Qiqi really didn't know that Tudo was now the backbone of Unit 759 and spent more than half a year carrying out missions outside. When will we move to the new house? Wan Baobao asked with concern that many 2-story villas had been newly built in the staff compound, and her family was allocated one. We will definitely move before the new year. Go get some food and bring it back for me. Wan Qiqi showed her mother as authority and ordered her daughter to get food. Lu Yi and his son were not at home, so the only one she could order around was her daughter. I'll call Wenxi first. Wan Baobao excitedly called Chao Wenxi. She and Wenxi's sister often carried out tasks together, and their cooperation was very good. Wenxi, I'm Baobao. I need your help. In your school's grade 3 class 6, there's a boy called Niu Xingyun. You've seen him. Give him some tasks to do, such as choking when eating, choking when drinking water, wiping his hands when pooping, peeing in his pants, falling down when walking, etc. Just do it 5 or 6 times a day, and I'll give you a delicious white sugar cake when the time comes. Is it the white sugar cake made by Niu Xingyun's mother? Chao Wenxi asked on the phone. Yes, this brat is a bad boy. You are making his life more difficult. No problem, let's start tomorrow. Chao Wenxi agreed readily, saying it was a piece of cake. Wan Qiqi found it funny when she heard this, but did not stop it. She thought that Niu Xingyun really needed to be disciplined, otherwise he would most likely end up in a juvenile detention center in the future. In her previous life, she heard from her parents that someone's child was sent to prison for fighting. He was learning to play young and dangerous, and was so obsessed with it that he ended up getting a job as a government employee. Bao Wan took her meal card and lunchbox and went to the canteen excitedly to get food. She had a big meal in the canteen and brought stir-fried beef and water spinach for her old mother, as well as a box of rice. Mom, after the exam, I want to go to Aunt Tao's place to play. Wenxi and Xian will go too. Baby Wan took 2 popsicles from the refrigerator, bit off 1/3 of them in one bite, and finished the popsicles in just a few bites. Other girls don't dare to eat too much ice, but Wan Baobao eats ice even in winter. It's like there's a furnace in her body. It doesn't matter if she eats a dozen ice creams a day. She will still be full of energy and vitality. Your feet are on you, so you can go wherever you want. Wan Qiqi let her 2 children run wild, because no one could bully them anyway. With permission, Wan Baobao excitedly went to the next room to read. As soon as she left, Lu Yi came back. As he entered middle age, Lu Yi had become more stable. He went to Zhongqing for a meeting and shouted as soon as he entered the door, "Qiqi, baby, eat tofu skin." He specially bought bean curd skin, which Wan Qiqi and his daughter both loved to eat. Dad, I miss you so much. Baby Wan smelled the fragrance, ran out happily, and hugged Lu Yi and acted coquettishly. You want tofu skin, right? Eat it quickly. Lu Yi smiled and scratched her nose, then divided the tofu skin into 2 halves, giving a larger half to Wan Qiqi and the smaller half to his daughter. If the potatoes were at home, He would divide them into 3 portions, giving the extra portion to his wife, and the remaining 2 portions, which were exactly the same, would be shared by the brother and sister. Wan Qiqi never rejected Lu Ye's different treatment. The children will have their own lovers and families in the future. Lu Yi is the one who will accompany her until old age, and she will only favor Lu Yi. I don't know if I can meet a man as good as my father in the future. Has been fed dog food many times, envies his parents' love, and is also looking forward to it. It's bound to happen sooner or later. Wan Qiqi smiled. Her baby is too late to understand and doesn't know what love is. Jiang Zhuiyue is a very good child and is good to the baby. And Anzi from Xiangjiang also likes the baby. She likes both children, but in the end it is the baby's decision and she will not interfere. As for Potato Baby, she would not care about him at all, because the child had made it clear long ago that he would not get married. Wan Qiqi understood very well that it was indeed difficult for Tudo to find a suitable marriage partner given his identity. It would be better for him to wait until he had finished his trials in the human world and return to his hometown before looking for one. Baby One only ate a few pieces of bean curd and put the rest in the lunchbox. I'll send it to Grandpa Man and Grandpa. Take these too. Wan Qiqi gave half of her tofu skin to Wan Baobao to take away. Lu Disheng and Mo Qiufeng are both over 80 years old, as are the 2 elders of the Lu family. Thanks to Wan Qiqi's occasional feeding of spiritual tea, they are all in good health. Only Xie Taoji was in very poor health and passed away a few years ago. It was considered a natural death. Bai Fengshe wore mourning clothes and sent the old lady to the mountain. There is also Mama Jiang. Although she ate ginseng and Ganoderma lucidum for nourishment from time to time, she passed away 2 years ago. However, she left behind offspring, a big yellow dog that looks exactly like her. Manzai still calls her Mama Jiang, as if nothing has changed. Bao Bao'erwan held 2 lunch boxes and went to find Lu Disheng first. This doesn't count. I didn't make any moves. Play again. Why didn't you make a move? I saw it clearly. You already made one. Your presbyopia can't see anything. If I say it's not good, then it's not good. Mo Qiufeng, stop whining, or I won't play chess with you anymore. Lu Disheng regretted his move with great righteousness, which made Mo Qiufeng laugh so irritatedly. I've condescended to play chess with you. Lu Disheng, you've really gone backwards. I won't play anymore. As Mo Qiufeng grows older, he becomes more genuine and his temper becomes hotter than in previous years. He is not used to Lu Disheng's bad temper. All right, you are noble. You are amazing. Come on, play again. Lu Disheng was, on the contrary, much gentler than in previous years. After a few words of coaxing in a gentle voice, Mo Qiufeng finally sat back down. Wan Baobao stood at the gate of the yard, watching with great joy. She only went in after the 2 elders resumed playing chess. Grandpa Mo, eat some tofu skin. My dad just brought it back. Seeing his precious granddaughter, Lu Disheng stopped playing chess and went to pick up the bean curd excitedly. Lu Yuanchao also got married and had 2 sons, so Wan Baobao was the only granddaughter of the Lu family and the apple of Lu Disheng's eye. Grandpa Mo, you guys continue. I'm going to Grandpa Man's place. Go! Lu Disheng ate bean curd with big mouthfuls and waved happily. Mo Qiufeng looked on with some envy. Compared to the bustling Lu family, he and his children and grandchildren seemed much quieter. However, he had long been accustomed to it, and now this peaceful life was good enough. When Wan Baobao went to Lu's house, his mother came out to greet him, wagging her tail, when he was still more than 10 meters away, followed by Manzai, who is in his 50s, still looks very young, with black hair, no different from 15 years ago.
Grandpa Man, eat tofu skin.
Baby Wan took a piece of bean curd and fed it to him personally. Manzai smiled happily, his face full of joy. Was beaten twice, limped to school the next morning. On the way, he met classmates who were riding bicycles and invited him to take a ride, but he refused. Last night his cruel father came back and beat him with a belt again, leaving his buttocks bruised. Niu Xingyun sighed and had to stand in class today. As soon as he arrived in the classroom, several of his friends came to him and reported the latest developments of the enemy. Those jerks still aren't convinced, so they asked us to go to the old place after school to have a fight. Go, I can't kill them. Neo Xingyun stood up angrily, completely forgetting the injury on his butt. Can you do it? His friends looked at his butt suspiciously. Why not? I can kill them with one hand. Neo Xingyun said with disdain. None of those jerks from the neighboring school could fight. The friends were relieved and said they would notify other brothers to gather at the old place at 5:30 p.m. and see you there. Are you lucky cow? A clear voice suddenly sounded, and several people looked up at the same time and saw a quiet and beautiful girl. I am. Who are you? Neo Xingyun quickly admitted it and was very excited inside. Could it be that she was a schoolgirl who had a crush on him? Why do you have a secret crush on such a beautiful girl? Just tell her directly. He will definitely not refuse. Have we met before? He looks familiar. Neo Xingyun couldn't help but ask. Several of his friends all made disgusting expressions. I never realized before that Neo Xingyun was so good at flirting with girls that even Jia Baoyu learned from him. Study hard. Chao Wenxi said something earnestly, then turned and left. She is only here to recognize the servant. Don't curse the wrong person. Walked to the classroom door, stopped, muttered a few words to himself, then smiled strangely, put his hands in his pockets, and walked away leisurely. Brother, you are so disloyal that you actually hid such a beautiful girlfriend? A few of Neo Xingyun's friends surrounded him and made fun of him, and they were all envious and disgusted with him. I don't even know her, don't you think it's weird? Neo Xingyun felt inexplicably uneasy. He was very sure that he had seen the girl before. When the bell rang, the classroom immediately fell silent. Neo Xingyun stood there obediently. He was in the last row anyway, so standing there would not disturb his classmates. Morning class, Neo Xingyun and his friends went out to eat noodles. They went to a store they often visited. When the hot noodles were served, several of them couldn't wait to eat them. Neo Xingyun was very hungry, so he picked up a large spoonful of noodles and stuffed it into his mouth, and then he choked. A large lump of powder got stuck in his throat, and Neo Xingyun was choking so much that he kept rolling his eyes and couldn't speak. Several friends banged his back and carried him on their shoulders while running. After several minutes of struggling, they finally got the powder out of his throat. Water. Neo Xingyun leaned weakly on his friend and almost lost half his life. The noodle shop owner quickly brought a bowl of boiled water, and Neo Xingyun took a big sip. Cough, cough, cough. Neo Xingyun choked and coughed violently. His face had turned purple from choking before, and now it had turned liver red, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. After a while of hard work, a few friends finally saved Neo Xingyun's life. Neo Xingyun was so exhausted that he lost all his appetite and lay listlessly on the table. You're unlucky today, so be careful. A friend kindly reminded him. Neo Xingyun didn't take it to heart. He ate too fast just now, and it would be fine if he slowed down. He slowly ate the rest of the noodles and felt relieved when nothing happened again. They went to the store next door to buy chicken drumsticks and bread to eat when they were hungry in the afternoon, and then walked back to the classroom together. But before they reached the classroom, they had finished eating the chicken leg bread. My stomach aches. Is this bread expired? Neo Xingyun pressed his aching stomach. No, you are just unlucky today. Several friends said in unison and took a few steps away from him. Is there any paper? I'm going to the toilet. Neo Xingyun couldn't bear it any longer, so he collected paper from a few of his friends and limped to the toilet. He just squatted down, and suddenly he had a bowel movement. He felt great after that, but when he was wiping his butt, he didn't know what happened and ended up with shoot on his hands. He had been wiping butts for so many years, but had never wiped his hands. Neo Xingyun cursed, wiped his butt while suppressing his nausea, and quickly went to wash his hands, washing them more than 10 times before returning to the classroom. But he was still unlucky in the afternoon. He choked while drinking water, was tripped by someone while walking, and the worst thing was that he, a 15-year-old man, actually wet his pants in public. He was even seen by the prettiest girl in the class. Neo Xingyun now just wants to find a crack in the ground to crawl into and never come out again. Are you still doing it with the guy next door? Friends asked. Duck it, I want to go home. Niu Xingyun glared at him unhappily and limped away. The fight at 5:30 naturally did not take place. Niu Xingyun, the leader, did not go, and neither did the other 12 cronies. Their enemy waited at the old place for an hour and finally left cursing. For the next few days, Niu Xingyun lived in chaos every day, as if he was stuck in a vicious circle. His life was full of bad luck every day. From morning to afternoon, he choked while eating, choked while drinking water, had diarrhea, and then wet his pants when school was about to end. He was almost becoming the laughingstock of the whole school. If he wasn't afraid of being beaten by his parents, Niu Xingyun really didn't want to come to school. After a week of torment, Niu Xingyun changed from an energetic middle school boy to a listless and decadent boy. The wound on his buttocks healed, but he had several new wounds in his heart. This week the neighboring school was very arrogant and challenged him several times. Niu Xingyun accepted each time, but had to break the appointment every time and was blocked by the neighboring school. Then, Niu Xingyun was hit hard again. He was backstabbed by his brother. Because he had too many problems and caused great damage to the reputation of their gang, the other 12 brothers kicked him out of the organization and elected a new leader. Niu Xingyun went to argue with them, but was ridiculed by his former brothers. However, Niu Xingyun did not feel sad for too long because a few days after he was kicked out of the organization, his former brothers fought with the gang next door and someone died. One of his former brothers stabbed a man from the neighboring school to death with a knife. The police took away the two gangs that were fighting and also found him to find out what happened. Niu Xingyun answered truthfully. Not long after, the students who fought were expelled from school and sent to a juvenile detention center. Niu Xingyun lived in a daze these days until all his former friends were fired. Then he came to his senses and suddenly felt lucky for his bad luck for several days. Otherwise, he might be the one sent to juvenile detention center. Niu Xingyun, who had come to his senses, seemed to have been retrained and became a good student who studied hard. Wang Xuehua and his wife were very pleased and were especially grateful to Ruan Baobao. 3 years later, Niu Xingyun was admitted to the military academy with excellent grades and became a pillar of the country. On July 7th, 8, and 9, the 3-day college entrance examination was over. Ruan Baobao was the first to walk out of the examination room. She had done everything she could, and she also pieced together the things she didn't know how to do. Her sincerity was great, and it brought a perfect end to her 3 years of high school. At the end of the month, Chao Winxi and his sister and Shangguan Xian finished their final exams, and the group of children were preparing to go to Hong Kong for their summer vacation.
Ding, Yi assigned them a task.
This man is called Yang Nanhui. He used to be a senior bank executive. He transferred 80 million yuan of public assets overseas and was planning to go to the United States from Hong Kong. If you arrest him, you can still get 80 million yuan of assets. Ruan Baobao and his group arrived in Hong Kong safely, and Anzi drove to pick them up personally. The 19-year-old Anzi is still in college, but he participated in the company management of Rongyao Gang 3 years ago. Perhaps it was because he inherited the Wu family's excellent business genes that Anzi was very good at investing. Under his management over the past 3 years, the assets of the Glory Gang had increased several times. When Gonda discovered how capable he was, he let go and handed the company over to him to manage. Anzi, why have you grown taller again? I haven't grown at all this year. Baby Ruan stood on tiptoes and compared with Anzi, but was still half a head short, so she pouted in dissatisfaction. You're already tall enough. If you grow any taller, the new skirt I bought for you won't fit you. Anzi helped them put their luggage into the trunk and took out ice cream from the refrigerator in the car and handed it to Ruan Baobao. He knew all of Ruan Baobao's hobbies, even better than she herself. I want to eat ice cream, too. Chao Wenyuan made the request with a smile. He was the same age as Ruan Baobao and was also particularly afraid of heat. Like his father, he only wore light clothes in the cold winter. Get it yourself. Anzi's tone was indifferent. He was not the easygoing person. He always keeps to himself in school, and his classmates keep their distance from him. Only when he is with his adoptive parents, grandparents, and baby Ruan does he show his tender side. Another discriminatory treatment. Chow Wen-yuan curled his lips. It was obvious that he and Anzi were good brothers, but he always treated him coldly, but was very kind to Wan Baobao. The difference was too obvious. He glanced at Wan Baobao, who was eating ice cream and chatting with his sister, winked at Anzi, and whispered, "Do you want me to help you break it? Otherwise, you'll have to wait until the seas run dry and the rocks crumble. If you dare to say that, I'll beat you to death." Anzi glared at her fiercely. He was nice to Bao Bao not for the sake of getting anything. He just wanted to let nature take its course. In the end, no matter what choice Bao Baowan made, as long as she was happy, he would be happy. A dog bites Lu Dongbin, who doesn't know a good man's heart. Chow Wen-yuan got into the car angrily, while Wan Baobao and Chow Wensi were chattering about school gossip, and Shengguan Xian sat quietly beside them and listened. "Brother, let me drive." Chow Wen-yuan felt itchy and wanted to drive. Anzi gave the seat to him. Chow Wen-yuan fastened his seat belt, started the car, and drove very smoothly. After driving for about 10 minutes, they arrived at the mountain road. There were not many people on the road, and there were mountains on both sides. Chow Wensi, who was sitting in the back seat, looked up and saw that it was his brother who was driving. He couldn't help but say, "Brother, please stop driving. With your poor driving skills, you might drop the anchor halfway." Wan Baobao reacted quickly and covered Chow Wensi's mouth, but she still let her speak out. Everyone sighed in unison. "Chow Wensi, will you die if you don't speak?" Chow Wen-yuan couldn't help but curse because he found that the car had indeed broken down. His sister's bad mouth is more clever than God. "I said I couldn't let my brother come. Every time I see him, I can't help it." Chow Wensi muttered quietly that she and her brother had not gotten along since they were young, and even when they grew up they still disliked each other and always had to make some noises when they met. "Why don't you let me come? Hong Kong belongs to you alone. We 3 girls are fine, but you insisted on squeezing in. Just tell me whether you are annoying or not. I'm just worried that you 3 will suffer. Good intentions don't go unrewarded. I won't care about you anymore. It's obviously you who wanted to play." The brother and sister started arguing again. Everyone was used to it and didn't bother to care, so they got out of the car to fix it. Chow Wensi was tired of arguing, so he got out of the car, looked around, and couldn't help but sigh. This desolate mountain is really suitable for dumping corpses. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at Chow Wensi helplessly. "There is no hope of returning home safely today. I'll go and take a look." Shengguan Xian finished speaking. She went up the mountain and came back a few minutes later, saying calmly, "The male corpse is severely decomposed. Call the police." Anzi took out his mobile phone and called the police. Half an hour later, a police car came roaring in. The officer recognized Anzi and was very respectful, but he still had to go to the police station to cooperate in taking a statement. "I had to pee urgently, so I went up the mountain to relieve myself, and that's when I saw it." Shengguan Xian explained the reason why the body was found. "Miss, you don't seem to be afraid at all?" The police were a little suspicious because Shengguan Xian was so calm and didn't seem scared at all. "Just a dead person." Shengguan Xian smiled faintly. The police checked their entry records and found that they had arrived only an hour ago, so they had no time to commit the crime, so they let them go. Anzi sent them home first, and they all lived in Wan Chi-chi's villa halfway up the mountain. Su Gaifeng passed away 2 years ago. Anzi was always with her in her last days, and the old lady passed away peacefully. Xiang is now an executive of Rongyabang Company. She is married and has children, and is living a good life. Hong has been staying in their one family and has never married. Her peaceful and stable life makes her look much younger than her peers. She also opened a flower shop. Wan Chi-chi and Xiang both support her. The business of the flower shop is neither busy nor slow. Hong travels between the flower shop and home every day, and her life is very fulfilling. There were other servants at home, and the house was kept very clean. In the evening, Wan Baobao and his friends went to Gon's house for dinner. Gon's tea restaurant was still open. Although Gon's father and mother were old, they were still in good health. They were reluctant to close the restaurant, and even more reluctant to leave their old neighbors, so they insisted on keeping the restaurant open. "Grandpa Gon, Grandma Gon, did you miss me?" Baby One walked to the door of the store and acted like a spoiled child. The baby is here. Dinner will be ready soon. Gon's mother's hair has turned a lot whiter, but she is still in good spirits. She happily greeted the children, and Gon's father took out delicious food to treat them. Sister Bao Bao, Sister Wenxi, Sister Xian Xian. Two exquisite and handsome teenagers rushed down from upstairs. They were Xia Tao and Gon Defa's children, a boy and a girl, and they were 14 years old this year. The elder brother Gon Anjian and the younger sister Gon Anqi look like their mother. The brother and sister look almost exactly the same. If they wear the same clothes, even their grandparents can't tell them apart. However, the brother and sister have very different personalities and hobbies. The elder brother is like his father, with a stable character and a strong sense of justice. He is a handsome and sunny boy. Her younger sister, Angie, is very much like her mother, with an unpredictable temper. She is also a master of ninjutsu and particularly loves studying poisons. Gon Anjian ran down happily and wagged his tail at Shangguan Xian like a puppy. He confessed his love to Shangguan Xian when he was 10 years old and was beaten. However, the child was very determined and continued to confess his love, so naturally he was beaten again. Sister Xian Xian, this is the birthday gift I prepared for you. I made 1,000 paper cranes by myself. There are 999 of them in total. They represent my feelings for you. Gon Anjian shyly took out a jar of colorful paper cranes and handed it to Shangguan Xian with both hands. Can you give me something practical next time? Pineapple buns or pork chop buns would be fine. Although she was disgusted, Shangguan Xian still took it. After all, it was a gift from the child, and she couldn't throw it away. But compared to the ugly and useless paper cranes, she still prefers delicious food, such as the pork chop buns, pineapple buns, and fish balls made by Grandma Gon, which are really delicious. Gon Anqi pushed her brother away and took out her latest poison to show off. This is called the Heartless Pill. Take one pill, and you will be free from all feelings and love, and will never suffer from love again. Life without love is worse than death. Love is the sweetener of life. You don't understand. Gon Anjian refuted and argued convincingly. You know nothing. Women don't need love at all. How can we continue our offspring without love? Society will be extinct. You're stupid, but you still don't admit it. The right to have children lies in women's hands. When you want to have a child, just find a man to partner with you. Gon Anqi raised her chin proudly, with the demeanor of a mature woman. Gon Anjian wanted to argue, but Chao Wenxi pushed him away impatiently. We girls are talking, men, get out of here, it's so annoying. And Jian, come here. Chao Wenyuan waved at him, and Gon Anjian walked over reluctantly. Even though they were only 10 steps away, he still looked back every few steps. Where are Uncle Gon and Aunt Tao? Asked Bao Bao Ruan. My mom has recently become obsessed with adventure, so she dragged my dad to explore the Amazon. Gon Anqi looked unhappy because she also wanted to go, but her parents refused. Is there a python more than 10 meters long in the Amazon? If Aunt Tao encounters one, I don't know if she can beat it. Chao Wenxi blurted out, and then she immediately realized what she had said and covered her mouth in embarrassment. Gon Anqi clasped her hands together, prayed for her parents for 3 seconds, and then ignored them. Mr. and Mrs. Xia Tao in the Amazon rainforest have been trekking for 3 hours and are ready to find a place to rest. That's it. Xia Tao found a perfect spot for camping. She quickly made a fire. Gone to boiled water to make snake soup. There were many poisonous snakes in the forest, and they could easily catch a few. Gon Defa went to the nearby area to pick more than a dozen leaves. Adding these leaves to the soup would make the soup more delicious and supplement vitamins. He has read a lot of books, and now his knowledge reserves of adventure are very rich. A Tao, it's time to eat snake soup. After cooking the snake soup and toasting a few slices of bread, Gon Defa invited Xia Tao to come and eat. Do you regret it? If you had married another woman, you would be living comfortably at home now. Xia Tao suddenly asked. She likes exciting adventures as long as she can move. She will not stay at home obediently. Gon Defa has suffered a lot with her and experienced several life-threatening dangers. To be honest, she was a little sorry, but she couldn't change it. I'm unhappy every day if I marry another woman. As long as I'm with you, I'm happy no matter where I am. Gandefa smilad naiveli. Although exploration was hard and dangerous, the freshness and sense of accomplishment from exploring nature were things he could never experience at home. He wanted to thank Atao for allowing him to experience such a colorful life. Xia Tao curled her lips, but her eyes were gentle. Atao, what's that sound? Gandefa's expression became alert. He felt the ground shaking, as if a huge creature was sliding on the ground and getting closer and closer to them. Xia Tao took a deep breath and smelled a fishy smell. Her expression became serious, and she asked Gandefa to climb the tree quickly. It's a python, climb up the tree. Gandefa did not hesitate. He quickly climbed up the tree and took out his gun. Xia Tao added a lot of firewood to the fire, and the flames shot up high. She drew out her long knife with a stern look on her face. A few minutes later, a python about 10 meters long appeared in front of them. Its head was as big as a cow, its body was as thick as a barrel, but it slid very flexibly. Xia Tao couldn't understand why the python didn't like to come to the place she chose. Was the python out of its mind? Get out of here, or I'll peel off your skin, pull out your tendons, and eat your flesh. Xia Tao warned coldly and chopped the tree in midair, and the tree, which was as thick as a bowl, broke in half. The python raised its head and looked at Xia Tao for a few seconds with a silly look on its face. It slid forward a few meters tentatively, and when it saw that Xia Tao didn't move, it slid forward a few more meters. Tao, it seems like it wants to eat snake soup. Gandefa on the tree said loudly that he felt a little flattery from the python. All things have spirits, especially animals of such a large size, which are very spiritual. Xia Tao hesitated for a moment, picked up the remaining half pot of snake soup, dug a hole in the ground, filled it with some leaves, poured the snake soup in, and stepped back. Sure enough, the python slid over quickly, buried its huge head in the pit, and began to eat with a grunt. Soon, half the pot of snake soup was finished. The python raised its head and looked at them eagerly. It wanted to eat more. No, if you want to eat, go catch some prey, and I'll cook it for you. Gandefa came down from the tree and talked to the python in a gentle tone. The python probably understood what he said, so it turned around and slid away. Xia Tao breathed a sigh of relief. She was not sure if she could take Gandefa away safely from such a big python, so a peaceful resolution would be the best. I'll cook some more. Gandefa put the remaining snake meat into the pot to make soup. The snake soup gave off an enticing aroma. Just as they were about to start eating, that familiar voice came again. Xia Tao's face changed. She gritted her teeth and stood up, ready to fight the python to the death. The python came back with a huge red deer in its mouth. It threw the dead deer on the ground and looked at them eagerly. You want it cooked? Gandefa was very surprised. It was the first time he encountered a python that liked to eat cooked food, and was also very human-like. The python cannot speak, but it looks like it is standing by and waiting for them to feed it. Gandefa and Xia Tao processed the red deer together. They cut a few pieces of meat and roasted them over the fire. They also added a lot of seasonings. Fortunately, they brought a lot of seasonings, otherwise it would not be enough. The tempting aroma of barbecue wafted out. Although the python didn't make a sound, its desire for barbecue could be felt. Strange, the anaconda's tongue has no sense of taste, only smell. How can it distinguish between grilled meat and raw meat? Gandefa muttered to himself while grilling meat. This python, or to be more precise, an anaconda, overturned all current research by scientists on anacondas. But he wouldn't tell anyone. The forest belongs to wild animals, and it's best not to disturb them. Humanity's understanding of nature is too shallow. Xia Tao cut a piece of barbecue and ate it. It tasted very good. She also fed Gandefa another piece. The python next to him was almost dying of anxiety, but he still stayed there obediently, waiting to be fed.
Give.
Gandefa let the meat cool down and threw it towards the python. The python grabbed it flexibly and swallowed it in one gulp. Several large pieces of meat were not enough for it to eat. It caught weighed more than 200 kilograms. Gone Defa and Xia Tao could not finish roasting it even if they roasted it all night. Later, they simply roasted only the surface and sprinkled some seasoning on it. The pythons still ate it with relish. They peeled off the deer skin and processed it to make clothes and bags. After eating a deer, the python did not leave, but rested nearby. As the king of the forest, it was absolutely safe with it around, and no wild beasts within a 10-mile radius dared to come. Xia Tao and Gone Defa slept very comfortably that night and woke up naturally in the morning. The python brought another red deer, so they had to grill it. After a few interactions, they reached a tacit understanding with the python. On the rest of the journey, the python followed them quietly. When they set up camp, it would catch prey and let the couple help roast it. With the python protecting them, they were safe along the way, and there were no blind wild beasts to provoke them. The 1-month expedition was completed smoothly, and Xia Tao and Gone Defa were ready to return to Hong Kong. Pug, I'll see you next year. Go back. Xia Tao shouted to the reluctant python that it could only live comfortably in the Amazon rainforest, and the outside world was not suitable for it. Pug was the name she gave to the python. Apart from looking like a snake, it was like the pug raised by Gone's mother in every other way. Chow Wincy didn't know that her casual words had helped Xia Tao and Gone Defa gain a python friend. They were having a great time in Hong Kong, but they didn't forget their mission. They looked for Yang Nanhui while having fun, but this guy seemed to have disappeared. Anzi asked his brothers in the gang to inquire about his whereabouts, but there was no trace of him. He won't die, will he? Chow Wincy asked back. How could he be willing to die with 80 million? He must be hiding. This guy is quite patient. There is no movement from the bank. Bao Bao Wan went to the bank to check, and Yang Nan replied that he didn't dare to use a penny. So, how did he survive in Hong Kong during this period? I'll have my men look for it again. As long as it's in Hong Kong, we'll definitely find it. Anzi finished speaking. He went to call his subordinates, and his tone was very serious. We can't even find a single person. Are the people in the gang living too comfortably and becoming too lazy? Recently, he noticed that the people in the gang have become quite lazy. The Glory Gang has been developing smoothly in recent years, and its financial strength is the best in Hong Kong. Although it is a good thing, it has also made the people in the gang slack off. If this continues, big problems will definitely arise. Now that he couldn't even find a single person, it proved that his idea was correct, and he had to take action. His parents had handed the Glory Gang over to him, and it couldn't be destroyed in his hands. Anzi said this. The people below immediately worked like clockwork and worked overtime to look for the person. Sure enough, they got the news in less than 3 days. Sir, this guy is a minor character in the crew, and he can endure hardships. His subordinates handed over several photos, which were stills of Yang Nanhui in various dramas. He was basically a supporting actor with no lines, either playing a dead body or a passerby, and the money he earned was only enough to buy lunch and pay the rent. Wan Bao Bao and the others went to the crew and saw Yang Nanhui lying on the ground pretending to be a dead body. They were filming a fight between two gangs. Yang Nanhui had a lot of red paint on his face and body and was lying there miserably. Filming is fun. Chow Wensi was watching with great interest. She liked watching TV dramas from Hong Kong, especially martial arts films and detective stories. She would follow every episode. Today, she saw the filming set, and it felt quite interesting. Miss, you can come to my crew to film. The 3 of you are very pretty. I will arrange roles with lines for you. How about that? A middle-aged man came over and enthusiastically invited them to film.
Who are you?
Chow Wenyuan vigilantly protected his sister. I'm a director. This is my business card. The man handed over his business card. He was indeed a director. His last name was Wang, and he was currently filming a martial arts film. I'll think about it. Chow Wensi did not refuse. She wanted to come to the crew to film for a few days and experience it after completing her mission. Okay, miss, once you've thought about it, call me anytime. Wang smiled and left. Yang Nanhui's filming had already been completed, and many actors went to receive their lunchboxes, including Yang Nanhui. I'm a little hungry. Can I have 2 servings? Yang Nanhui begged humbly, asking for one more portion so that he wouldn't have to buy a lunchbox in the evening. Only one copy. Distributing the lunchboxes had a blank expression on his face. Yang Nanhui didn't dare to say anything else. He smiled ingratiatingly, took his lunchbox and left, then found a place to sit down and eat. While eating, he encouraged himself that as long as he could hold on for another 10 days, he would be able to get a pass to the United States. Once in the United States, he could spend the money as he pleased. Thinking of the wonderful life in the future, Yang Nanhui suddenly became energetic and wolfed down his lunchbox. He planned to find a place to take a nap, and then look for a supporting role in the afternoon. Didn't bring much money with him, so he saved as much as he could. He also had to earn living expenses for the next few days, otherwise he wouldn't even be able to afford a plane ticket to the United States.
Yang Nanhui.
Someone called out.
Why?
Yang Nanhui responded subconsciously, and soon he reacted, stood up and was about to run, but was stopped by someone. I'll let you run for a minute. Chao Wenyuan smiled, stepped aside and motioned him to run first. Yang Nanhui hesitated for a few seconds, then broke into a run. The wind whistled in his ears, and he felt he was running very fast. Even when he was young, he had never run so fast. He didn't know how long he had been running. His lungs felt like they were on fire, dry and painful. Don't run away. Someone tapped me on the shoulder and spoke in my ear. Yang Nanhui didn't stop and wanted to continue running, but someone grabbed his collar from behind, and no matter how he ran, he stayed in the same place. I'll give you half, just pretend you didn't see me, okay? Yang Nanhui still held out a glimmer of hope and wanted to take a bribe of 40 million. 40 million is not enough. You can take out all 80 million. Chao Wenyuan sneered and pulled him out. Wan Baobao, Shengguan Xian and others were waiting in the car. Chao Wenyuan threw them in the car and drove towards Yang Nanhui's residence. This guy has a fortune of 80 million, but he rents a house that is as shabby as a coffin and has difficulty even turning around. They found Yang Nanhui's carefully hidden laptop computer. Shengguan Xian logged into his bank account with a few operations. She could transfer money online by simply entering the password. What's the password? I forgot. Yang Nanhui refused to say. Wan Baobao sneered, carried him to the elevator, and went straight to the rooftop. He grabbed his collar with one hand and held him on the rooftop. If he let go of his hand, he would fall down.
No.
If I die, you will never get the money. Yang Nanhui was so frightened that his face turned pale, but he still remained tough. It doesn't matter. It's not my money anyway. But I'm really annoyed with you right now. I'll give you a chance to see if your clothes are secure enough. Wan Baobao sneered and pinched him a few times, and Yang Nanhui screamed in fright. If he was wearing Dacron, he wouldn't have fallen. But unfortunately, he's not wearing Dacron. If he falls here, it will break into pieces, right? Chao Wenxi looked down. The building had 9 floors and was quite tall. Just as she finished speaking, there was a sound of cloth tearing. The sound was not loud, but to Yang Nanhui's ears, it was like a bolt from the blue. It was his clothes that were torn, and this could have a bearing on his life. Pull me up, I'll tell you everything. Yang Nanhui was so scared that he peed himself. He didn't want to die at all. Even if he has to go to jail, he wants to live. Wan Baobao carried him up, and Yang Nanhui sat down on the ground, still in shock, and told the password. After Shengguan Xian entered it, the transfer was successful. The mission was successfully completed, and Chao Wenyuan took the people back to report. Wan Baobao and the others wanted to stay and play until school started. Chao Wenxi thought about experiencing the life of filming and found director Wang, who really arranged roles for the 3 of them. Moreover, they all had a foundation in kung fu, so they filmed the fighting scenes as smoothly as flowing water, and their scenes looked better than those of the leading actress. Wang even invited them to film his next drama and said that they would definitely have important roles to play, but all 3 of them declined. They thought that just having the experience was enough, and it would be boring to actually film a drama. And even if they want to film a movie, they don't need to come to this kind of crew. Anzi has a film and television company under him, so it won't be a problem for them to be the protagonists. Anzi has been very busy recently because he is preparing to officially deal with the Wu family and take back his property. In fact, Anzi started to gradually deal with the Wu family last year. This year, the Wu family lost a lot of orders, all of which were snatched away by him. Wu Yuntao's health has not been very good in the past 2 years. He has become a Buddhist and would stay in a temple for a few days every now and then. He also often donated money for incense, but it was of no avail. His health was getting worse and worse, and he was unable to manage the company. Moreover, none of Wu Yuntao's children are successful, so he has to rely on him to support them. Coupled with the serious loss of orders this year, Wu Yuntao was anxious and angry, and his health became worse. That day, Wu Yuntao went to the temple again and made an appointment to play chess with Master Yuan Hui, who is only in his early 60s, has completely white hair, and looks much older than his peers. He also has difficulty walking and needs to use a cane to travel. Arriving at the temple, he went directly to Master Yuan Hui's room. The master had already been waiting there. The young monk served him tea and had prepared a chessboard. "Master, I have been sleeping very restlessly recently. I always dream about some old friends. Is there any way to resolve this?" Wu Yuntao's eyes were dark circles and bloodshot, and he looked very haggard. "May I ask who this old friend is?" Master Yuan Hui asked.
Yes.
"My brother's family and my parents." Wu Yuntao hesitated for a few seconds and answered truthfully. "Has Master Wu ever owed them anything?" Master Yuan Hui asked very directly. Wu Yuntao looked a little embarrassed. If it were in the past, he would definitely not admit it. But now he was troubled by nightmares and his health was getting worse, so he didn't care about his face and nodded. "Because of some misunderstandings back then, I did owe my brother's family, but I have been feeling bad all these years, and I really want to make it up to them." "Is your brother still alive?"
He should be dead.
"Does your brother have any offspring?" Wu Yuntao's expression changed slightly, and he said, "My nephew has also passed away and has no descendants." That stupid nephew came, although he was married, his niece-in-law was not pregnant, so he definitely had no offspring. Master Yuan Hui gritted his teeth and cursed in his heart for being so heartless and worse than beasts. It's so hard to make money, and it's so hard to eat shoot. Then we should hold a 49-day ritual for them to help them transcend. Master Yuan Hui came up with an idea. The temple could make a lot of money from the 49-day ritual. How wonderful! Wu Yuntao agreed, without thinking. He hadn't had a good sleep for a long time. When he closed his eyes, he saw his dead nephew, his parents, and his brother and sister-in-law, who were shouting at him and questioning him angrily. He didn't dare to sleep at all, and often stayed awake until dawn. This had been going on for several days, and he could hardly hold on any longer. Wu Yuntao only played chess for a few minutes before he fell asleep. He slept for 7 or 8 hours, and his energy was restored a lot. So he immediately donated a large sum of money and asked Master Yuan Hui to move into the temple. For the sake of the incense money, Master Yuan Hui naturally had no objection and asked his disciple to clean up the guest room. Wu Yuntao, who lived in the temple, slept particularly soundly, and his spirit was visibly restored. After Anzi found out, he prepared to go to the temple to put some things there so that Wu Yuntao wouldn't live too comfortably. That's right, the reason why Wu Yuntao had nightmares again and again was because he replaced Wu Yuntao's calming incense with a nightmare incense prepared by Gananchi. As the name suggests, after smelling this fragrance, you will have nightmares all night long. No need to go to all that trouble, let Wensi do it. Wan Baobao stopped him. "It is not easy to make someone unlucky. I need to meet him in person, the effect will be better." Chao Wensi made a request. "Why go to all that trouble? Just give him this pill and send him straight to God." Gananchi took out a black pill, which she named the Kengtui Gufei pill. Taking one pill would make one go to heaven. "Have you finished the assigned test? If you have nothing to do, I'll send you to a cram school." Anzi snatched the pills and flushed them down the toilet. He was always a serious elder brother to his younger siblings and was ruthless in disciplining them. The brother and sister are fearless except for 2 people. The first is Mom, the second is my eldest brother. The school didn't assign any homework. Gananchi muttered softly, feeling very weak. Because she ranked last in the class in exams last semester, and her grades were consistently bad. Any comments? Anzi's tone became even more severe. His younger brothers and sisters were too naughty. Their parents just let them go, and their grandparents just spoiled them. If he wasn't strict, these two brats would take over all the land in Hong Kong. No problem, I'll go do the test paper. Gone Anchi shook her head vigorously. How could she dare to object? When her eldest brother got angry, he was inhumane. Once she did something wrong, her eldest brother punished her by making her go hungry for 3 meals. No one in the family dared to plead for mercy. She went hungry for 3 meals and almost starved to death. She obediently went back to her room to do her homework and dragged her brother along. Why are you pulling me? Gan Anjian was not happy, but he was not scolded by his eldest brother. You were 4th from the bottom last semester. That's better than you're 3rd from the bottom. Gan Anjian was very proud. As long as he could pass his sister's exam, he would no longer be the last in the family. Dad is the principal, Mom is the dean of studies, and the 3rd and 4th from the bottom are all in our house. Do you think it's an honor? Go and do your papers, at least 3. If you don't finish them, you won't be allowed to eat. Anzi had a headache because these 2 jerks were very smart, but they didn't follow the right path, and their minds were all on crooked ways. And Jian studies stocks all day long. I have to say that this guy is very talented and has made a lot of money in the stock market. Anchi makes poisons all day long, and the house is full of poisons. If you enter her room, you may step on a poisonous insect if you are not careful. He didn't expect these 2 jerks to do very well in the exam, but at least they wouldn't be at the bottom, right? What a disgrace. Without the 2 unlucky children around, Anzi felt the air was a lot fresher. He took Wan Baobao and the others to the temple to see Wu Yuntao. Has even brought his work to the temple recently. He eats well and sleeps well, and he looks much better than a few days ago. Wan Baobao and the others arrived. Wu Yuntao had just finished processing some documents and his neck was a little sore, so he went out for a walk alone. The temple is very big and the scenery is beautiful. Wu Yuntao was strolling in the garden with a cane and ran into Anzi and the others head-on. Seeing Anzi, who looked like his brother, Wu Yuntao's heart skipped a beat. He stopped involuntarily and took the initiative to greet him. Little brother, you look very familiar. What's your last name? My surname is Gan, which means water and gold. Mr. Wu should know my father. His name is Gan Defa. Facing his enemies, Anzi remained calm. So you are Principal Gan, a son. I never thought that I had dinner with your father. Wu Yuntao's suspicions were alleviated a lot. Gan Defa had nothing to do with his Wu family. It could be that they just happened to look alike, right? Anzi smiled and didn't respond. Wu Yuntao didn't have the patience to talk to the junior and continued walking. After he walked away, Chao Wensi whispered, "This man has a disability. He might fall." Wu Yuntao's scream was heard in the distance. His foot slipped and he fell heavily with a crack, and he couldn't get up at all. In the temple who knew medicine. After examining Wu Yuntao, he said, "The coccyx is broken. Go to the hospital." Master Yuanhui had no choice but to call an ambulance. After Wu Yuntao was carried into the car, he went to check the place where he fell. He walked back and forth more than 10 times, and he was still steady. Strange, the road is smooth and there is no moss. How could he fall? Master Yuanhui was puzzled. Maybe I've done too many bad things. The apprentice said, casually. Master Yuanhui put his hands together and chanted, Amit Ba. Wan Baobao and his friends donated some incense money to the temple and then returned to the city. And Zi asked his subordinates to deliver the photos he had just taken to the company's newspaper. Let them use their creativity. The more eye-catching the title, the better. Anzi told his men that he had acquired the newspaper last year and that it was basically he who had the newspaper report all the negative news about the Wu family in the past 2 years. Received the instructions were immediately cheered up. As writers, what they liked most was to express themselves freely. The boss was really understanding. The editors, letting themselves go, wrote a report with great enthusiasm and gave it a very eye-catching title. Wu Yuntao called an ambulance at the temple, suspected he would not live long. That night, the printing factory worked overtime to finish the work. The next day, The news that Wu Yuntao was suspected to have died spread throughout the city. After a day of fermentation, it was rumored that Wu Yuntao had died. It just so happened that the Wu family invited a high monk to perform a ritual to verify the authenticity of these rumors. It's absolutely true. I have a relative who works for the Wu family. Wu Yuntao hasn't been home for a long time, and they even invited a monk to pray for his soul to rest in peace. The workers privately discussed that Wu Yuntao's death was very unusual. Is it an unexpected death? Ask a senior monk to help the soul rest in peace. It's possible. Otherwise, who would hold a ritual for 49 days? It must be to save the souls of the dead. The rumor was spread so seriously that Wu Yuntao was already dead among the people. What followed was the depreciation of Wu Group's stock, which plummeted all the way to the lowest point in history. Wu Yuntao, who was lying in the hospital, was so angry that he almost choked after receiving a report from his assistant. Hold a press conference. I want to attend in person. The doctor told you to rest. The assistant tried to persuade him kindly, saying that Wu Yuntao had fallen quite seriously, and the doctor stressed that he must rest, otherwise he would probably have to lie down for a long time in the future. How can I rest? People say I'm dead. If I lie down any longer, the company will be finished. Wu Yuntao cursed loudly, and the assistant didn't dare to say a word, and went to arrange the press conference obediently. Wu Yuntao, lying on the hospital bed, felt sad and regretful. If he had kept his nephew, he wouldn't be without anyone to help him now. Thinking of his two good-for-nothing sons, Wu Yuntao's coccyx hurt even more. He forced himself to get the mobile phone on the bedside table and called several newspapers he knew, asking them to send people to attend the press conference. Finishing the call, Wu Yuntao was sweating profusely and felt dizzy. A deep sense of sadness came over him. He was only in his early 60s, but he was already unable to do anything. Was this really the retribution for killing his own nephew? Appeared in front of reporters in a wheelchair. Before coming, he was given a painkiller injection to help him hold on for a while longer. I'm sorry to have worried you all. I'm in good health. I just fell down while walking in the temple a few days ago. I will be discharged from the hospital in a few days. The operation of the Wu Group is also very good, and there are no problems. Throughout the press conference, Wu Yuntao was in high spirits and looked in good health. Many reporters asked questions, and he answered them one by one. Excuse me, 19 years ago, your nephew died in a car accident. Is there any hidden story behind it? Suddenly a man stood up and asked a question loudly. Wu Yuntao on the stage looked slightly pale and said sadly, I have never been able to let go of my nephew's death. It was my fault for not taking good care of him. I feel guilty towards my brother. The police have already investigated the incident. It was just an accident. Alas. The explanation given by the police was brake failure. Why would a good car have brake failure? And your nephew just came to Hong Kong from the mainland. He is unfamiliar with the place, and it is impossible for him to make enemies with outsiders. I also found out that your nephew is the legitimate son of the Wu family, and Mr. Wu is the concubine. According to the traditional distribution of property, the legitimate son can get the largest share, but why did Mr. Wu inherit the property? The reporter's words were particularly sharp, and he pressed forward step by step. The other reporters looked at their colleagues in admiration. They were so brave that they were not afraid of being hunted down by the assassin sent by Wu Yuntao. Wu Yuntao broke out in sweat on his forehead, and his coccyx began to hurt again. He clenched his teeth and pretended to be calm and said, You are indeed right. Logically, my brother should have inherited the majority, but the situation in the mainland was unclear at the time, so my father sent me to Hong Kong to develop the market. After we have established a firm foothold here, they will come over. It's just, he sighed deeply and said sadly, it's just that things changed too fast. They didn't have time to come here. My nephew went through a lot of hardships to come here. I wanted to train him to be my successor, but God didn't open his eyes. Oh. I can't talk about these things when I'm old. It's too painful. Wu Yuntao took out a handkerchief and wiped his eyes, looking very sad. What Mr. Wu said is different from what you did. After your nephew came, you never took him to the company. Instead, You instigated your son to take him to the casino and nightclub, but your nephew was a clean man and refused. He also took the initiative to ask to work in the company, but you rejected him. The reporter kept asking questions fearlessly, but he was not afraid at all because he had the honor gang to protect him. Which newspaper do you work for? Aren't you afraid of being fired for talking nonsense like this? Wu Yuntao lost his temper and started to threaten. Mr. Wu is angry and embarrassed. As a journalist, it is my duty to report the truth. I will never give in to any threats. The reporter acted righteously, but his colleagues all showed disgust on their faces. We are all in the same circle, and everyone knows that this guy is the most afraid of death. I don't know what medicine he took today. He is so brave. Mr. Wu, I found out one more thing. 19 years ago, your nephew came here with your father's handwritten suicide note. It clearly stated in the suicide note that 70% of the Wu family's property would be given to your brother and 30% would be yours. There are 2 copies of this suicide note, one in your nephew's hands and the other in your niece's wife's hands. You probably didn't know that, did you? The reporter took out a yellowed suicide note. The handwriting on it was a little blurred, but still clear enough to read. This suicide note was left by Anzi's mother. Mr. Wu knew his youngest son's character very well, so he wrote 2 suicide notes just for this day. Wu Yuntao on the stage turned pale and could no longer pretend. He asked sternly, "Who sent you?" This suicide note was exactly the same as the one he got from his nephew. He had burned it himself, so why was there another copy? Moreover, this person knows so much about the Wu family's affairs. Could it be that the niece-in-law has come? I sent it. Anzi appeared at the venue. He smiled at Wu Yuntao on the stage and said, "Nice to meet you again. Let me introduce myself first. My name has gone on by, but I used to be called Wu on by. My biological father is Wu Yuda." Wu Yuntao on the stage stared at Anzi, the boy he met in the temple a few days ago. He felt that he looked familiar, but he dispelled his suspicion only when the boy said his father was gone defa. I didn't expect that he was deceived. What he didn't expect was that his stupid nephew actually took advantage of him and left behind descendants. Although Wu Yuntao was in turmoil, he appeared calm on the surface. He even smiled and said deliberately, "We met at the temple a few days ago. I remember you said your father was Principal Gon. How come you're now a member of my Wu family?" "Of course, it's because I want to be wary of you, a beast in human form. If I don't hide my real name, I'll end up like my father. Wu Yuntao, you have hundreds of millions of wealth, but if your name is not right, then your words will not flow. You killed your own nephew, worse than an animal. Even if you invite a high monk to sit for 49 days of ritual, it won't eliminate your sins." Anzi walked to the front of the venue. Although he was in the audience and Wu Yuntao was on the stage, his aura was greater than Wu Yuntao's. Every question pierced deep into Wu Yuntao's soul. "You are talking nonsense, you little brat. My nephew's death was an accident. The police have already investigated it. Besides, my nephew has no offspring. I want to ask Principal Gon why his son came to pretend to be a member of my Wu family." Wu Yuntao still held on and refused to acknowledge Anzi's identity. Even though he already believed it in his heart, Anzi looked so much like his nephew. The father and son were almost exactly the same. "I'll tell you why." The tall and burly Gon Defa strode into the venue. Xia Tao walked side by side with him. They had seen the report about Wu Yuntao on the plane and knew that Anzi had taken action. So as soon as they got off the plane, they took a taxi and rushed over to support their son. "Principal Gan, Director Xia." The reporters shouted excitedly, and flashlights kept shining on them. The admission rate of Jeddah School is currently the highest in Hong Kong, and it has opened branches in other cities. Principal Gon and Director Xia are well known in Southeast Asia. Reporters are much more interested in the couple than in Wu Yuntao. Gon Defa nodded slightly to the reporters, while Xia Tao remained as aloof as ever, only twitching the corners of her mouth when she saw Anzi and Ruan Baobao. "Anzi is my eldest son. He was adopted by my husband and I when he was 4 years old. Before that, Anzi and his grandmother made a living by picking up garbage. They lived a very hard life. We knew his life story very early on. When we adopted Anzi, we made it clear to him that when he was able to take back his property, he could change his surname back to Wu. Defa told the reporter in detail the process of adopting Anzi and the miserable life he and Su Gaifeng once lived as garbage collectors. The reporters were all very surprised. They didn't expect that the young master of the Wu family had such a miserable childhood. Defa turned to face Wu Yuntao, who was sweating profusely, and said slowly, "You killed your own nephew for the sake of property that does not belong to you. Don't you have any regrets at all?" "I didn't. You're talking nonsense. You're slandering me." Wu Yuntao roared angrily. He wanted to stand up and argue, but the effect of the painkiller had worn off. His lower body was almost numb with pain, and his head was dizzy. "I swear on the name of the Guardian School that I am not lying. What you did to the car was not perfect, and the person who did it is still alive." Defa has an excellent reputation in Hong Kong. Even if he doesn't swear, no one will doubt his words. Anzi clapped his hands, and two of his men came in, escorting a white-haired old man. Wu Yintao's eyesight was not very good, and he didn't recognize him at first. "Master, I'm Wei. 19 years ago, you asked me to tamper with the brakes of my nephew's car. You gave me some money and asked me to leave Hong Kong. I've had a hard time in Indonesia these years. I always dream about my nephew. He's such a good person. I'm so inhumane and conscienceless." The old man sat on the ground beating his chest and stamping his feet. It was obvious that he had indeed not had a good life in recent years. At that time, his son was seriously ill and urgently needed a large sum of money for treatment. With no other options, Wu Yuntao found him and sent him to harm his nephew. In order to save his son, he agreed. When he saw the report about his nephew's car accident and death, he actually regretted it, but the matter was done, so he had to take the money and move his family to Indonesia. In the end, his son could not be saved. His wife also divorced him, and he lived alone in a foreign country, living a life worse than death. This is retribution, sir. There is retribution for doing bad things. My son is dead, my wife ran away, and I am about to die. I will go to heck and work like a servant for my nephew to make amends." After the old man said all this, he seemed relieved and a smile appeared on his thin face. The excited reporters' hands were about to cramp from pressing their buttons. A wealthy family was fighting over inheritance. An uncle killed his own nephew. The evidence was irrefutable. This was definitely the headline among the headlines, and the newspapers in Hong Kong would definitely be sold out tomorrow. Defa, you really took great pains to find such a person to act with me. I don't even know him. What Wei? What break manipulation? Your story is well made, but what does it have to do with me? Wu Yuntao is still stubborn, but his words are meaningless in law, so he is not so easy to defeat. Hurry up and go home for dinner. Xia Tao became impatient. She had said a few years ago that she might as well kill the old jerk with a knife and be done with it, but Defa and Anzi disagreed. Now he's complaining again. So annoying. Okay, Mom. Anzi responded respectfully and took out several documents from his briefcase. They were the bank records of Wu Yuntao's transfer of money to Wei. After 19 years, he used some tricks to get the bank executives to agree to check the records. Also a tape. Anzi first showed the bank statement and then played the tape. After a rustling sound, there was a very noisy sound, which sounded like a disco. Ale, do you have a cousin? If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten about it. That stupid guy from the mainland. It was obvious that the man who was speaking was drunk and not very clear-headed. Wu Yuntao looked nervous because he recognized that it was his own disappointing youngest son. Your cousin from the mainland died in a car accident 19 years ago. How pitiful. What's so pitiful about him? He deserves it. I tell you, this idiot has no self-awareness at all. He actually wants to rob my family's property. Isn't it just a suicide note from an old man? If my father doesn't recognize it, it's just a piece of waste paper. If this idiot doesn't listen, my father will send him to heaven. Huh? Did your cousin get into a car accident because of your father? My father doesn't need to do it himself. There are so many workers in the family. Just find someone who is short of money to do it. Let's not talk about these unlucky things.
Come and drink.
Don't leave until you are drunk. Then there was the sound of clinking cups, and Anzi turned off the recorder. Wu Yuntao on the stage looked pale. He knew the game was over and he had lost the round. However, he still had a little hope. He founded the company himself, and all the people there were his confidants. Anzi was a young boy, and even if he took over the company, he would not be able to convince everyone, and they would definitely need his help. Wu Yuntao, look at this again. I am now the largest shareholder of the Wu Group. Anzi took out another document, which was a share transfer agreement. The stock of Wu Group had been depressed very low these days, so he bought a large number of shares and successfully held the most shares of Wu Group. A new book has been published, but it has not been signed yet. It is a story from the 1960s. I will definitely update it steadily after the contract is signed. Wu Yuntao's eyesight was blurred, so Anzi kindly walked up to the stage, handed the glasses to him, and even put reading glasses on him. The words were written clearly in black and white, and each word turned into a sharp blade, piercing deeply into Wu Yuntao's heart. Puff! Wu Yuntao could no longer hold on and spit out a large mouthful of blood. His face turned as white as paper, and he fainted. Reporters swarmed over, and the flashlights flashed even brighter. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they had to capture important photos to grab the headlines. Wu Yuntao's assistant was still loyal. He called an ambulance. The medical staff carried the unconscious Wu Yuntao into the car, and the ambulance soon sped away. Go home and have dinner. Xia Tao shouted, turned and left. To explore outside. The only thing that made her unhappy was that she couldn't eat the delicious food made by Gon's mother. She was so hungry that she could swallow an elephant and couldn't wait to go home for dinner. I'm coming, Tao, wait for me. Gon Defa ran after them, not forgetting to turn around and greet them. Anzi, baby, you guys are back too. I brought you gifts. What gift? Is it a plant specimen from the Amazon forest? Baby Juan happily chased after him and asked. She now has many specimens of rare plants, all of which were brought back by Xia Tao and his wife during their adventures. You'll find out when you get home. Anzi, Anjian, and Anchi haven't caused any trouble recently, right? On the way home, Gonda asked about his two children. It's okay, and the results are very stable.
Ansi answered.
Or the third and fourth from the bottom. Xia Tao's voice was cold and earnest. Anzi nodded and sympathized with his younger brother and sister for 3 seconds. They promised to make progress last semester, but they didn't keep their word. They should be punished. Xia Tao sneered, leaned back in her chair, and closed her eyes to rest. She was going to give those two jerks a good beating when she got home. His father was a top student from a prestigious university, his mother was well-educated and well-versed in both civil and military fields, and his genes were absolutely excellent. Yet he actually got the third to fourth from the bottom in the exam, which was worse than shoot. Since there is nothing wrong with the genes, then it must be that he is not being careful, and he must be severely punished. At home suddenly felt a chill on their backs and shivered. Is Mom coming back? Gan Anjian felt something was wrong. The Yin energy was so strong. It must be that my mother was coming back. Come back if you want. Give me the remote control. I want to watch a horror movie. Gon Anchi grabbed the remote control, switched to the horror movie channel, and started watching it with relish. We promised last semester that we would make progress this semester. We are doomed. Gan Anjian held his head and wailed. His mother valued her promise the most. Their grades this semester were the same as last semester, and they were consistently ranked third from the bottom and fourth from the bottom. Even if they ranked third from the bottom and second from the bottom, he was not in a hurry. Why didn't you say so earlier? Gan Anchi was so frightened that she turned off the TV immediately. The brother and sister stared at each other. Go to Amberwan's house now. Gan Anchi's mind worked quickly, and she immediately rushed upstairs to pack her luggage. Going inland or mid-mountain? Gan Anjian asked from behind. Of course it's inland. Mom can easily find us halfway up the mountain. Gan Anchi packed her suitcase in a hurry. She had to take all the poisons she prepared, and she also had to take a few precious poisonous insects with her. The brother and sister quickly packed their luggage, a suitcase, a backpack, and their passports, and went out in a hurry. It's almost time for dinner. Where are you going with your suitcases? Gon's mother caught up and asked, "Grandma, we're going to summer camp, bye." The brother and sister said in unison and ran out at lightning speed, but they couldn't get a taxi for a while, and several taxis passed by, but none of them stopped. Finally, a car stopped. The brother and sister were overjoyed. When they were about to get on the car, they saw someone getting off the car. They were stunned for 3 seconds and then ran away immediately. "Still want to run? Go back." Xia Tao grabbed one in each hand and carried the boy and girl home like an eagle catching chicks. "Mom, please be gentle. My ears are going to break. I am your own son." Gon Anjian grimaced in pain and begged loudly for mercy. Gon Anqi raised her head stubbornly, looking at her brother with contempt. Even if she was beaten to death, she would not beg for mercy. Gon Defo wanted to save his children very much. He remained silent. When Ah Tao was educating her children, he absolutely could not go against her. "Ah Tao is back. No wonder my left eyelid kept twitching this morning. You didn't even call me, so I could prepare in advance." Gon's mother came out happily and asked Xia Tao about her well-being. Xia Tao's icy expression also eased a lot. She loosened her hand, and the brother and sister did not dare to run away. They just stood there obediently. "That's where the gems are found. This ruby is yours, and the emerald belongs to Dad." Xia Tao took out 2 jewel rings from her bag. The ring faces were very large and looked very valuable. Gon's mother put on the ruby ring, the more she liked it. Every time her daughter-in-law went out, she would buy expensive jewelry for her and the old man. Each piece was worth a lot of money. When they wore them out, the neighbors were so jealous. "Ah Tao, you didn't buy it yourself?" Gon's mother found that Xia Tao was still not wearing any jewelry and couldn't help asking. "If they don't like dye, I'll go teach them a lesson first." Xia Tao doesn't like fancy clothes or jewelry. Her only hobby is food, and now adventure is added to that. She gave her children a cold look, and the 2 children followed her obediently. "I hate people who don't keep their promises. Last semester you promised to improve your grades, but now you've broken your promise. Do you think you should be punished?" "Mom, I was wrong." The brother and sister admitted their mistakes honestly. In front of Xia Tao, they didn't dare to rebel at all and were more obedient than rabbits. "Lie down," Xia Tao shouted, and the brother and sister obediently lay down on the bench. Then there was a sharp pain on their buttocks. Xia Tao whipped them with a whip without mercy. After 10 whips, both the brother and sister were covered in torn flesh. Gon's father and mother hid in the kitchen, crying with heartache, but did not say anything to stop it. The child did do something wrong, and their daughter-in-law did nothing wrong in punishing him, so they couldn't do whatever they wanted. Fa Zai, you should pay more attention to your child. You are a college student, but your child ranked last in the exam because you didn't pay enough attention to him. The old couple gave Gondo a lecture, blaming him for not tutoring his grandchildren carefully. Gon Defa did not dare to refute and had to agree. "If you still don't make progress next semester, I'll give you another 10 lashes." After the whipping, Xia Tao made demands for the next semester, and the punishment was doubled. "There is no problem with your IQ. As long as you study hard, you will definitely make progress. If you can't do it, it means you are not serious. 20 lashes will be the lightest punishment."
No.
The brother and sister promised loudly that if their buttocks were bruised after 10 lashes, they would not survive if they were lashed again. They would make progress in the next semester, even if they had to work very hard. That day, the Gon family had a sumptuous lunch, and the atmosphere was joyful. Only the brother and sister looked sad because their buttocks were bruised, and they could only eat while standing. After eating, they had to do the test papers. The strict mother is back, and their happy vacation is over.
Well,
Wan Baobao and her friends played in Hong Kong until the end of August, and even played guest roles on TV crews. The happy vacation always passed quickly, and they had to go home. Anzi was going to the inland for some business, so he sent them back to Tianzhou. When they got off the plane, Zhang Zhuiyue came to pick them up. When the love rivals meet, the atmosphere is extremely tense, but the person involved, Wan Baobao, is completely unaware of it. "It's so hot, I want to eat ice cream." Tianzhou at the end of August was still like a furnace, with the sun scorching hot. It was so hot that Ruan Baobao was sticking out his tongue like a puppy. It would be great if he could have an ice cream to cool down. Wait, I'll go buy it. Anzi looked around and found a freezer in front of a store opposite, so he crossed the street to buy something. Buy more. Baby Ruan cried loudly. Good. Anzi turned around and smiled. Just then the green light came on, and he walked over quickly. Soon he came back with a bag containing all kinds of popsicles and ice creams. Ruan Baobao's eyes lit up. Jiang Zhuiyue Wenxi, eat ice cream. Ruan Baobao let her friends choose first. Shengguan Xian went back to Yangqing first, and she and Chao Wenxi returned to Tanzhou. Chao Wenxi took one, but Jiang Zhuiyue didn't want one because he didn't like ice cream. Baobao Ruan tore open an ice cream cone, took a big bite, chewed it a few times, and swallowed it. The cold ice cream slid down his throat into his stomach, cooling his whole body and reducing a lot of the heat. It's finally cool, sighed comfortably, finished an ice cream cone in 3 bites, and then opened another one to eat. Jiang Zhuiyue was shocked by her bold way of eating. Baby, eating too much ice is not good for your health. Jiang Zhuiyue couldn't help but advise that girls shouldn't eat too much cold food. It's okay. I eat more than a dozen every day at home. As he was talking, Baby Ruan finished another one and took another popsicle from the bag. Jiang Zhuiyue frowned as he watched. Even men wouldn't eat like this.
It was too harmful to the body.
Aunt Ruan doesn't care about you? It doesn't matter. It's not like I'm taking poison. Baobao Ruan looked at him strangely and continued eating ice cream. It's too hot outside, let's go home. Anzi said with a smile. I'll drive the car over here. Jiang Zhuiyue ran to drive the car. He was tall, long-legged, handsome, and elegant. He looked particularly good in military uniform, attracting the attention of many passers-by. Soon he drove over in a jeep that he had borrowed from a friend. He saved up several days of vacation and came to Tanzhou specifically to express his feelings to the baby, so as to avoid being beaten to it by Gone Amber. The 3 of them sat down just right. Jiang Zhuiyue originally asked Ruan Baobao to sit in the front passenger seat, but she wanted to sit in the back and chat with Chao Wenxi, so Anzi sat there instead. Fasten your seat belts. Jiang Zhuiyue said this expressionlessly and started the car. Anzi fastened his safety belt and asked, Comrade Jiang, is he coming to Tanzhou for official business or personal matters? Private matter. Jiang Zhuiyue gave him a provocative look, and Anzi smiled and responded, It's my private matter too. Suddenly, sparks flew in the air. Chao Wenxi glanced at the 2 of them and curled his lips. Boring men. The car drove directly into the family compound. The car that Jiang Zhuiyue borrowed had a military license plate number and could be driven directly in. I haven't seen Uncle Liu and Aunt Ruan for a long time. I have to go visit them. Jiang Zhuiyue parked the car downstairs of the family building and took out gifts from the trunk of the car, including a seafood gift box, 2 bottles of mitai, and Yangqing snacks. Why did you buy so many things? This isn't the first time you've come to my house. Ruan Baobao's tone was full of disgust. She never bought anything for Jiang Zhuiyue's parents when she went to Yangqing to meet them, and they were not outsiders. It's been a long time since we last met. Jiang Zhuiyue smiled. He had specifically asked his married comrades about these gifts, as they were standard gifts for meeting his father-in-law and mother-in-law. Chao Wenxi glanced at Anzi, then looked at Ruan Baobao, who was completely unaware, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. 2 men are fighting for 1 woman. There's going to be something interesting to watch. Sister Baby is back. Niu Xingyin saw them from afar and came over happily. When he saw Chao Wenxi, he was stunned for a moment and blurted out, You are the one. You are the one with the crow's mouth. He finally remembered. No wonder she looked familiar. This woman was his nightmare when he was a child. When Chao Wenxi was a child, he often came to the staff dormitory to play. One time, he was playing football with his friends downstairs and he accidentally kicked the ball at her, causing the cake she was eating to fall to the ground, making her inedible. You wipe your ace with shoot on your hands. Chao Wenxi, who didn't get to eat the cake, cursed angrily. Niu Xingyin didn't take it seriously at the time, but from then on, whenever he went to the toilet, he would wipe his hands with shoot, which was so smelly that he wanted to chop off his paws. This lasted for half a month before he was finally able to wipe his butt normally. But he didn't know if it was because he and Chao Wensi were incompatible. They would always bump into each other accidentally, and then his claws would suffer again. Niu Xingyun couldn't stand it anymore, so he ran to Chao Wensi and begged her to change her way of cursing. Chao Wensi was very easy to talk to and immediately changed into peeing pants. That day when he wet his pants in front of the prettiest girl in the class, he should have thought of it earlier. It was exactly the same approach. Who else could it be except Chao Wensi, the jinx? If Chao Wensi hadn't come to the staff building very often in recent years, he would have recognized him at a glance that day. When enemies meet, they are extremely jealous of each other. The smile on Niu Xingyun's face froze instantly, and he glared at her with gritted teeth. You pee all day. Chao Wensi could finish his words. Niu Xingyun covered his mouth. Let go. If you keep cursing me, I'll sew your mouth shut. The two of them were in a stalemate for a few minutes, and Niu Xingyun asked, If you promise not to curse me again, I will let you go. Not if you agree.
Chao Wensi not dead.
Niu Xingyun let go of his hand, and Chao Wensi immediately shouted, You jerk, you pee every day. She still hadn't finished speaking before Niu Xingyun, who was quick-eyed and quick-handed, covered her mouth. If you don't keep your word, I won't trust you anymore. Niu Xingyun angrily dragged her upstairs, ready to seal her mouth with scotch tape. Wan Baobao, who was watching the fun nearby, laughed so hard that his stomach hurt. When he saw that Niu Xingyun was going to get serious, he ran over to stop him. I promise that Wensi will never curse you again, really. For Wan Baobao's sake, Niu Xingyun let go of his hand. Chao Wensi glared at him fiercely, but did not curse him anymore. It's a pretty face, but it has a crow's mouth. Niu Xingyun muttered angrily, feeling very sorry for Chao Wensi's future husband. He would definitely have a hard time marrying such a bad-mouthed wife. None of your business.
Chao Wensi giàu phai sơ ly.
Niu Xingyun glanced at her and ignored her. Wan Baobao and the others went upstairs, and Niu Xingyun followed them. Chao Wensi glared at him with disdain. Why are you following me? Are you annoying? Don't be so self-indulgent. I know this building better than you do. I'm going to look for Aunt Ruan. Niu Xingyun snorted and ran in front of her, taking 5 or 6 steps at a time, and reached the 3rd floor in no time. Wan Qiqi lay in the corridor to enjoy the breeze. There was a cross breeze in the corridor, so it was very cool. Mom, I'm back. Baby Ruan ran over happily. Hello, Aunt Ruan. Jiang Zhuiyue and Anzi spoke at the same time. The two stood side by side. They were both outstanding and talented, and were chosen by heaven. Wan Qiqi sighed softly. If only she had 2 daughters.
Excellent, Anzi. Come sit inside.
Wan Qiqi invited them into the house, took out a watermelon from the refrigerator, and cut it for them to eat. Baby, call your dad and ask him to come back early for dinner. She called out to her daughter. Baobao Ruan held the watermelon in one hand and pressed the button with the other, and the call was quickly connected. Dad, Mom asked you to come home early for dinner. No. Luya's voice came from the microphone. Baobao Ruan hung up the phone and continued eating watermelon. Jiang Zhuiyue couldn't help but advise. Baby, you just ate so much ice cream. If you eat so much ice watermelon, you will have a stomachache. It's okay, I've always eaten like this. Baobao Ruan didn't even raise his head. He finished a piece of watermelon in just a few bites and then took another piece to eat. Jiang Zhuiyue's brows were twisted into a straight line. Wan Qiqi smiled and said, The baby has a special physique, so it's okay for him to eat ice. That's good. Jiang Zhuiyue breathed a sigh of relief, as long as he wasn't hurt. Wan Qiqi asked about his parents' situation, and Jiang Zhuiyue answered them one by one. She couldn't favor one over the other, so she also asked Anzi. They were all routine matters. Aunt Ruan, this is what my mother asked me to bring to you. Anzi took out an exquisite jewelry box from her bag, inside of which was a luxurious ruby necklace. It's really beautiful. Thank your mother for me. Wan Qiqi fell in love with it at first sight. Of all the gems, she liked rubies the most. My mother will be back soon to visit my grandparents' graves. Anzi said with a smile. Xia Tao goes back to Tanzhou every year to visit her adoptive parents' graves. She has been doing this for years and has never missed a visit. Wan Qiqi prepared a table full of sumptuous dishes to welcome the children. Lu Yi also rushed back. When he saw Anzi and Zhang Zhuiyue appear at the same time, his eyes became unfriendly. The brat must have bad intentions. He doesn't like any of them. Hello, Uncle Lu. Anzi and Zhang Zhuiyue stood up at the same time.
Lui respondet reservedly.
After dinner, Zhang Zhuiyue and Anzi both said goodbye. One went back to a friend's house, and the other went back to the hotel. Baby, I haven't climbed Yuelu Mountain for a long time. Can we go together tomorrow? Zhang Zhuiyue extended the invitation, saying that he wanted to express his feelings to the baby while climbing the mountain tomorrow. I have heard of Yuelu Mountain for a long time, but I have never climbed it. If Comrade Jiang doesn't mind, how about I accompany you to climb the mountain tomorrow? Anzi's smile was gentle, but in Zhang Zhuiyue's eyes, it was a naked provocation. He was about to refuse, but Wan Baobao agreed first. Okay, Wenxi, do you want to go? That's fine. Chao Wenxi agreed. There would definitely be a good show tomorrow, and she couldn't miss it. I want to go hiking too. Niu Xingyin was there too. The Wan family had his favorite dishes in the evening, so he stayed for dinner as soon as Wan Qiqi invited him. Okay, let's meet at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Wan Baobao made the final decision, blocking everything Zhang Zhuiyue wanted to say. Zhang Zhuiyue gritted his teeth and gave Anzi a cold look. He would definitely find an opportunity to confess his feelings tomorrow. Wan Qiqi saw it clearly and couldn't help but worry about her daughter. Both boys were so outstanding, it was so difficult to choose. Zhang Zhuiyue and Anzi both left, but Chao Wenxi stayed here overnight. At night, Chao Wenxi and Wan Baobao were lying on the bed and whispering. Zhang Zhuiyue and Gan Amber both like you. Chao Wenxi's tone was very affirmative. We're good friends and I like them too. Baobao Wan spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. I'm talking about love, not friendship. They all want to be your husband. Chao Wenxi put it very directly. Wan Baobao frowned. She had never thought about these issues before. Love was too far away for her, and she hadn't had enough fun yet. What do you know about love, little brat? Wan Baobao thought that Chao Wenxi was a child pretending to be an adult and must be mistaken. I've read a lot of romance novels. You'll know when we go hiking tomorrow. Chao Wenxi has read a lot of romance novels and can be 100% sure that Zhang Zhuiyue and Anzi both like babies, so there will definitely be something big going on when they go hiking tomorrow. Go to sleep. We still have to climb the mountain tomorrow. Baby Wan yawned and turned off the light. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi in the next room were also whispering. I don't like either of them. My baby is still young, only 18 years old. I'll wait until he's 28. Lu Yi didn't want to marry his daughter off at all. All men were bad, except him and his son. If the baby wants to get married, can you still lock her up? Who do you think the baby will choose? Wan Qiqi asked with great interest. Maybe not even one. Impossible, it must be one of them. What a pity. If I had known earlier, I would have given birth to another daughter. Wan Qiqi sighed, her tone full of regret. Lu Yi's eyes lit up. It's not too late to survive now. Give birth to your head. Wan Qiqi glared. She didn't want to take care of children at her age. One son and one daughter would be just right. It's okay not to have a baby. What's important is the process, not the result. Lu Yi became interested and pulled her into the space. The next day, when Wan Qiqi got up, Wan Baobao and Chao Wenxi had already gone hiking. There was breakfast prepared by Lu Yi on the table, warming in the pot. The sun was about to set. Wan Baobao came back alone, looking very worried. What's wrong? Are you not happy climbing the mountain? Wan Qiqi asked with a smile. No, I'm very happy. Baobao Wan answered absent-mindedly. Instead of opening the refrigerator as soon as she got home as usual, she went straight back to her room and didn't come out until dinner time. I was also absent-minded when eating, and my appetite was half of usual. Why do you eat so little? Are you sick? Lu Yi reached out and touched his daughter's forehead. The temperature was normal. He couldn't help but frown. She had always eaten a lot since she was a baby, but today was the first time she ate so little. There must be something wrong. It's okay, I ate outside. Bao Bao Ruan made up an excuse and fooled his old father. After dinner, she went back to her room. Wan Qiqi didn't ask anything and waited for the girl to speak for herself. Just one night, Wan Bao Bao couldn't bear it anymore and ran to find Wan Qiqi. "Mom, I have something to ask you."
Ask.
Wan Qiqi turned off the TV and waited for her to ask. Wan Bao Bao sat down next to her and was silent for a long time before he said, "Yesterday when we were hiking, Anzi and Jiang Zhuyu both talked to me alone. They said the same thing. They liked me and wanted me to be their girlfriend. How did you answer?" Wan Qiqi asked gently. "I didn't agree, nor did I refuse. I said I would think about it carefully. Have you thought about it?"
Not yet.
"I'm a little confused and can't figure it out, but I don't know where the problem lies." Bao Bao Ruan analyzed his inner struggle very seriously. Wan Qiqi smiled and touched her head, saying, "That's because you like both of them, so you're not sure which one you want to choose as your boyfriend, right?" Wan Bao Bao tilted his head and thought seriously, "It seems so, Mom. Does this count as having two wives at the same time?" "Of course not. You didn't agree to them. You just haven't made up your mind yet." Wan Qiqi burst out laughing. This girl hadn't slept the whole night and was thinking about this. No wonder her eyes were dark. She added, "Actually, you can choose neither if you don't want to fall in love now. Anzi and Jiang Zhuyu are both very outstanding, but her daughter is equally outstanding. She hopes to see her daughter happy, even if she never gets married." Wan Bao Bao's eyes lit up and he asked, "If I don't choose either one, will they stop being friends with me?" "Of course not. Anzi and Zhuyu are not that stingy. But don't keep them hanging for too long. Give them an answer as soon as possible, whether they agree or not." "I see. I'll go find them now and tell them I don't want to be in a relationship right now." Bao Bao Ruan nodded. Since she wouldn't lose her friends, she would definitely refuse. She hadn't had enough fun yet. "Baby, if they find other girls as girlfriends in the future, or even get married, they will have their own families and won't play with you like they do now. Will you regret it?" Wan Qiqi asked. Bao Bao Ruan couldn't help but frown and think seriously. The more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. "It does feel a bit uncomfortable." "Why is that, Mom?" "Because you actually have feelings for them, but you haven't realized it yet. So, baby, give yourself and them 2 years. After 2 years, if you still don't want to be in a relationship, reject them clearly and don't waste their time." Wan Qiqi gave her some advice. Bao Bao Ruan followed her mother's advice and went to talk to Anzi and Jiang Zhuyu to make things clear. Both of them were willing to wait for 2 years, or even longer, for her to see their feelings clearly. Having resolved his worries, Bao Bao Ruan went to college happily. Her college entrance examination score was not very good. She had already been selected to go to HUSD. She entered the School of Foreign Languages as a sports student and majored in business English. Originally, Wan Bao Bao wanted to choose the major of business Japanese so that she could easily get through 4 years of college because she could speak Japanese. Aunt Tao taught her. She had been to the Sakura country to carry out a mission before, and her Japanese was good enough to fool the locals. But Wan Qiqi saw through her intention at a glance and changed her major from Japanese to English. Wan Bao Bao can speak some English, but not as good as Japanese. After entering university, Wan Bao Bao was quickly named the new generation of campus beauty. She received many love letters and gifts every day. In the evening, there would be literary young people playing guitar and expressing their love downstairs in the dormitory building. It started again that night. The literary youth sang "You My Desk Mate." The soulful singing was still very nice to hear, but Wan Bao Bao felt very annoyed listening to it. "Baby, why don't you just agree to it? I'm so infatuated with you." The roommates were very envious and advised Wan Bao Bao to agree. Because the literary young man who was singing was an active literary and artistic activist on campus. He was handsome, could write lyrics and compose music, had long hair, and had a melancholy temperament, like a melancholy prince, which made many girls fall in love with him. But he has high standards, and the girls he pursues are all school beauties. His ex-girlfriend was his previous school belle, and she came to pursue Wan Bao Bao not long after they broke up. How is he infatuated? He is clearly promiscuous. Wan Bao Bao snorted coldly. She had just found out about this guy's situation. He had just broken up with his girlfriend, and now he came to her dormitory building to play guitar and said he loved her affectionately. Not even a 3-year-old child would believe such nonsense. It was a pity that she had promised Uncle Ding that there would be no violence on campus. Otherwise, she would have punched the scumbag to the sky. Wan Baobao's eyes turned, and she quickly came up with an idea. She ran down the dormitory building and shouted at the scumbag playing the guitar. "Wait here." After saying that, she ran towards the back mountain. The scumbag was very happy and thought he had moved Wan Baobao and she would agree to be his girlfriend. It turns out that no girl can resist his deep affection. A scumbag never thinks of himself as a scumbag. He takes every relationship seriously, but the shelf life is too short. After the passion, he becomes bored and needs fresh love to keep his creative inspiration. Wan Baobao came back soon, holding a bag in her hand. She walked up to the scumbag and said loudly, "Do you want to be my boyfriend?" "Yes, I fell in love with you at first sight, baby." The scumbag confessed his love with deep affection. He had prepared a long love poem, but he didn't have the chance to read it out as he was interrupted by Wan Baobao. "If you're my boyfriend, you have to accept my preferences, right?" "Of course, I like everything you like." The scumbag looked at her lovingly, his peach blossom eyes constantly sparkling. This sticky look seemed affectionate even if he was looking at a dog. Baobao Wan smiled slightly and took out a beautiful silver ring snake from the bag, which she had just caught in the back mountain. The coral snake was obviously not very happy because it was sleeping soundly in the cave, but was forcibly dragged out by these hateful humans. Now it was in a very bad mood when it woke up. "It's my beloved little silver ring, my sweetheart. You should cultivate your relationship with it first." Baobao Wan hung the coral snake around the scumbag's neck and looked at him with a smile. The scumbag could react. He felt a chill on his neck and then came face to face with a head that was spitting out tongue. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to breathe. This is an extremely poisonous coral snake. If he were bitten by it, he would probably die before he even gets to the hospital.
Wan
Baobao, stop joking. The scumbag didn't dare to open his mouth to speak, and the sound came out from between his teeth.
He was almost scared to death.
"I'm not kidding, it's my family little silver ring, say hello to it." Baby Wan gently patted the snake on the head. The coral snake raised its head unhappily and spat at the pale-faced scumbag. "I've already said hello. Can you let your family leave?" The scumbag's voice trembled and his heart was filled with fear, because when Snake greeted him just now, he clearly saw that the snake's fangs were not pulled out. It was a real poisonous snake, the kind that could kill with one bite. If he had known earlier that Wan Baobao was a psychopath, he would never have come to confess his love to her. He would not care about her even if she was very beautiful. Her life was more important. "Duent, you want to be my boyfriend? How come even my family can't accept it?" Baobao Wan looked at him with a smile.
No, no, no.
"I'm sorry for not recognizing the real man." The scumbag quickly admitted his mistake. He was not stupid and knew that Wan Baobao was deliberately making fun of him. If he had no inspiration, then he had no inspiration. There was no need to lose his life. Wan Baobao smiled and took the snake down with one hand. The coral reef snake was wrapped around her hand. The beautiful patterns set off her delicate face. Under the light of the street lamp, there was a strange and enchanting feeling. Everyone felt a chill down their spine when they saw this, especially those male classmates who wanted to pursue Wan Baobao, who immediately gave up the idea. "Sorry to bother you." The scumbag ran faster than a dog and ran away in a flash. Baby Wan held the silver ring snake in his arms, glanced at the crowd watching the fun, and prepared to go to the back mountain to send the little silver ring home to sleep. "Baby!" Anzi shouted with a smile on his face. He saw everything that happened just now. "Why are you here?" Baby Ruan's eyes lit up, and he ran over happily. "Baby, I'm here too." Jiang Zhuiyue called out. "Did you guys make an appointment?" Baobao Ruan couldn't help but ask. "No, it was just a coincidence. I'm going back to Hong Kong tomorrow, and came to see you," Anzi said with a smile. "I'll be back with you tomorrow, and let you know." Jiang Zhuiyue explained that his vacation was over and he would be back to the team tomorrow and they would not meet again until half a year later. Let's go over there and talk. Bao Bao Wan took them to the lotus pond and said that there were too many people downstairs in the dormitory. Baby, you just put the coral snake on that boy's neck. It's too dangerous. Snakes are cold-blooded animals and are wild and difficult to tame. If they bite you, the consequences will be disastrous and will bring you a lot of trouble. Jiang Zhuiyue couldn't help but remind him that he was mainly worried about causing trouble for the baby. He also felt that the male student might have some moral deficiencies, but his crime was not punishable by death. If he were to handle the case, he would use a more cautious approach rather than such an extreme method. My snake is very obedient. Bao Bao Wan is very confident in his abilities. He has been playing with snakes since he was a child, and no poisonous snake dares to disobey him. There are still no completely tamed snakes. Many seemingly docile snakes will bite their owners. Jiang Zhuiyue was not making this comment without any purpose. He had done some special research on it. I can't do that anyway. Bao Bao Wan was confident. If the baby says he won't do it, then he won't do it. And even if he does bite me, so what? The worst that can happen is I'll just have to pay for it. Anzi's tone was dissatisfied. He didn't like Jiang Zhuiyue's preaching tone. It was obviously the man who harassed Bao Bao first. Bao Bao was very kind and gave the man a beautiful snake to play with. Even if it was really bitten, just send it to the hospital for emergency treatment. If it can't be saved, you have to pay compensation. You can only blame the man for bad luck, is what Anzi thought. In his opinion, Wan Bao Bao was not wrong at all, it was the man who was wrong. Your tricks in Hong Kong won't work in the mainland. Don't lead the baby astray. Jiang Zhuiyue's tone was very dissatisfied. He had investigated Anzi, who was the young leader of the Glory Gang, the largest gang in Hong Kong. He was ruthless and both good and evil. He forcefully took back the property some time ago, and Wu Yuntao was so angry that he had a stroke and is still in danger. I have my own ideas. No one can influence me. I won't see you off tomorrow. Have a safe trip. Wan Bao Bao was a little unhappy. She felt that Jiang Zhuiyue did not trust her abilities, and her good mood was affected. She waved to the two of them and strode back to the dormitory building. Do you want to be a boyfriend or a father? How funny! Anzi made a sarcastic remark and left. I just want the baby to stay out of trouble, not like you're encouraging her to get into trouble. Jiang Zhuiyue responded loudly. He didn't think he was wrong. Bao Bao did act a little extreme sometimes. Whether as a boyfriend or a friend, he had an obligation to correct her. With me here, trouble won't come near the baby. I'll solve it in advance. Anzi smiled and left. Jiang Zhuiyue stood there for a while and then left. 2 years passed quickly. Wan Bao Bao went to college while carrying out the missions of Unit 759. She cooperated with the troops on several occasions and twice with Jiang Zhuiyue. Although Jiang Zhuiyue looks handsome and elegant, this is only his appearance. 3 generations of the Jiang family have strong individual combat capabilities and excellent command abilities. Both operations were completed perfectly, and Jiang Zhuiyue was promoted quickly in the army and became a battalion commander at a young age. Andy's business empire expanded rapidly, and he became a new financial elite in Hong Kong and a top bachelor. Many celebrity daughters wanted to date him, but Andy never dated anyone of the opposite sex, and all the staff around him were men. There were even rumors in Hong Kong that he didn't like women. Wan Qiqi has always wanted to find time to ask her daughter who she chose, or if she chose no one. Before she could ask, after celebrating her 20th birthday, Wan Bao Bao returned home and announced a big news. I'm dating Andy. Congratulations. Wan Qiqi offered her blessings, which didn't seem surprising. The baby was indeed more compatible with Anzi. I don't like it at all. What's so good about that kid? Lu Yi was very unhappy. His daughter was only 20 years old, but she was snatched away by a bad boy with ulterior motives. He couldn't be happy. Anzi is very good. He tolerates all my shortcomings. Even if I get into trouble, he won't scold me, but will help me solve the problem. Bao Bao Wan spoke well of Anzi, saying that she made the choice after careful consideration. Then you can't always cause trouble for others. It will get annoying if you have to clean up their mess all the time. Wan Qiqi reminded. Love is mutual. If you only take without giving, it will not last. I didn't get into trouble often. I just wasn't careful sometimes. Now I'm much more mature and rarely get into trouble. Bao Bao Ruan explained seriously that she was not someone who often got into trouble and she was not that annoying. Where did Jiang Zhuiyue lose? Baby Ruan was very curious. This child was really outstanding and no worse than Anzi. He didn't lose, it's just that we are not suitable. He is a very good person and there should be a better girl, but it is definitely not me. I have made it clear to him, and we will still be good friends. Without waiting for Wan Qiqi to ask, Wan Baobao told her the reason why they were not suitable. Jiang Zhuiyue is like the sun, very bright and open. Anyone standing next to him will be illuminated by his light, but I am the moon. One side of me is bright, and the other side is dark. His light is too dazzling, and it makes my darkness more obvious. If we are together, if he is not happy, I will not be happy either. When did you notice it? Bao Bao Ruan felt her daughter's seriousness. The child really considered relationships seriously and did not decide based on her mood. I did 2 missions with Jiang Zhuiyue and I noticed it and then I found him and explained it to him some time ago. Ruan Baobao didn't say the specific reason, but Wan Qiqi could guess it. Jiang Zhuiyue was a child who received orthodox education and acted uprightly. The baby was taught by her and Lu Yi. They were not normal as a couple, so the child they raised would certainly not be normal either. It was very normal for him to act a little extreme. Maybe there was a conflict between Bao Bao and Jiang Zhuiyue during the mission? Then how do you know that Gone Amber is the right guy for you? Lu Yi asked. Because he is also the moon, we both have a dark side. He can understand me, and I can understand him. We are very compatible. When talking about Anzi, Wan Baobao's face was full of smiles. Lu Yi snorted lightly. He didn't think it was in tune. After Wan Baobao and Anzi confirmed their relationship, their affection progressed rapidly. 2 years later, she graduated and got married. Anzi proposed to her, and she agreed. Although Lu Yi strongly opposed it, he had no choice but to accept it. Wan Baobao wanted to get married, and Wan Qiqi also supported him. On the wedding day, Tudo also rushed back. He has been basically outside in recent years, either carrying out missions or going on sea adventures. His current external identity is that of a famous navigator, and his name can often be heard in the media. The wedding was first held in Tanzhou, and all the Gon family members came. Jiang Zhuiyue also attended the wedding and gave his sincere blessings. If you treat the baby badly, I will never let you go. Jiang Zhuiyue still had a bad attitude towards Anzi. You won't stand a chance. Anzi smiled. The baby is more important than his life. Because the baby was the brightest light in his life. When he was 4 years old, he was pulled out of the mud. From then on, his life became colorful. The wedding started. Lu Yi handed his daughter to Anzi. The MC asked him to say a few words. He walked to the microphone and said angrily, I don't have much to say. I raised my daughter with great difficulty. But this brat took her away. I can't be happy. After saying this, he glared at the groom and walked away with a stern face. In the audience, all burst into laughter, especially Xia Tao, who laughed the most proudly. When it was the turn of the man's parents to speak, Xia Tao went up, her face almost broken with laughter, and she deliberately said, I am very happy that my son has done a good job and brought the baby home. I am grateful to Lu Yi for raising such a good daughter. Thank you. In the audience was so angry that he gnashed his teeth and said to Wan Qiqi aggrievedly, She must have done it on purpose. Why don't you let Bao Bao get a divorce? Be good, she is crazy. You are more sensible than her. Wan Qiqi had no choice but to comfort her with kind words and glared at Xia Tao warningly. Otherwise, she was really afraid that these 2 crazy guys would fight at the wedding and ruin her daughter's wedding. Lu Yi was satisfied, and the second half of the wedding was very quiet until it ended successfully. Seeing off the guests, Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi went home. On the way, she suddenly said, There is a mission to South America recently. Let's go together. Okay, South America has gemstones, let's go there to mine. Lu Yi agreed without thinking and didn't ask what the mission was. As long as he could be with Qiqi, it would be the best. This article ends. This book is finished. Thank you to all the readers who have been with me and supported me along the way. The author will work harder and write the next book more carefully. The new book is a story about the 1960s and has been signed. Chi-Chi, I have a big surprise for you next month. Lu Yi gnawed on several pieces of rabbit meat, took a big mouthful of rice, and said mysteriously that there was a surprise. Can't tell now? Ruan Chi-Chi had already guessed what the surprise was and teased him on purpose. No, the timing is not right. You will be able to eat preserved eggs with pounded chili peppers next month. I will make it for you. Lu Yi shook his head vigorously. The peppers haven't bloomed yet, so it wouldn't be a surprise if he told him about it. Last time, Ruan Chi-Chi mentioned a bowl of pounded chili peppers and preserved eggs. Lu Yi remembered it and specially planted a few chili seedlings. Pepper and preserved egg, not very pretty, but super delicious. Okay, I'll have a surprise for you next month too. Ruan Chi-Chi picked up a chicken leg for him and prepared to take him into the space and treat him to milk tea. Lu Yi likes sweets very much, and he must love tea salt moonlight. What surprise? Chi-Chi, you have a cub? Lu Yi looked at Ruan Chi-Chi's belly happily. Inside was his and Chi-Chi's baby. It won't happen so fast. It's another surprise. You'll know next month. Come and eat. Ruan Chi-Chi glared. She was not opposed to having a baby. She would just let nature take its course. If she was pregnant, she would have the baby. If she wasn't pregnant, she wouldn't force it. Moreover, she felt that it would not be easy for her and Lu Yi to have a baby. She had read in novels that those people with powerful superpowers had difficulty in conceiving, while it was easy for ordinary people to have babies. Can't tell now? Lu Yi felt itchy in his heart. No. Eat quickly. Ruan Chi-Chi scooped him a large spoonful of meat and urged him to eat.
Oh.
Lu Yi was a little disappointed, but his disappointment was soon dispelled by the delicious food. He ate everything up. After eating, he took the initiative to clean up the dishes and put them in the basin. There was rice washing water in the basin, and he added some hot water and carried it out. Where are you going to wash the dishes? Ruan Chi-Chi was going to the bathroom to get some water to wipe the table when she saw this guy coming downstairs and asked loudly, "Go to Captain Su's house to take a shower." Lu Yi replied and went downstairs in 3 steps. In fact, he wanted to go to Captain Su's house to do laundry at noon. That stupid woman Shang Lahua was like a cannon in Ji Xianglian's hand, shooting wherever she pointed. He was an extremely smart man and saw through the woman's true face at a glance. Like Lin Mannion, Ji Xianglian was very hypocritical, but she was more cunning. She did a good job on the surface and won praise from the staff in the family building. She was named a model military wife for several consecutive years. She also did well in school. Not only was she named an outstanding teacher, she was also made a team leader and her salary increased. Lu Yi knew everything about the people and things in the entire residential building. Let's put it this way, he knew what time a man went out at night better than his wife. He hated women like Lin Mannion the most. He had never dealt with Ji Xianglian before. No matter how hypocritical this woman was, it had nothing to do with him. But this woman actually wanted to step on his Chi-Chi and flatter herself. Humph. Don't blame him for being rude. Captain Su was not at home at noon and would come back for dinner in the evening. Lu Yi saw the opportunity and went to visit him with a bowl of food. There were several military wives washing dishes in the corridor. When they heard this, their hearts skipped a beat, and they all looked at Ruan Chi-Chi. Ruan Chi-Chi remained calm, walked slowly to the bathroom, and fetched a basin of water. Sister Ruan, why don't you try to persuade Deputy Battalion Commander Lu? A woman in her 30s couldn't help but ask. She had a northern accent, was tall, strong, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Ruan Chi-Chi remembered that her name was Lu Danny. The reason why I have a deep impression of this name is because in the novels I read in my previous life, women with the surname Lu were generally called Lu Rian. They were either vicious supporting actresses or sinister green tea characters. In any case, they were not good people. Then the name Lu Danny, just like her, was very plain and unpretentious, and Ruan Chi-Chi remembered it accidentally. Why do you need to persuade him? He's washing the dishes, he's so sensible. Ruan Chi-Chi answered very sincerely. Her man was so well behaved, and he should be praised. Oh, you may not know this, but at noon your Deputy Battalion Commander Lu was washing clothes at Captain Zhou's house and made a scene, which made everyone feel uncomfortable. Lu Danny is a straightforward person with a simple mind, so she told everything that happened at noon. She didn't say that Lu Yi did anything wrong, but she felt it was inappropriate. After all, they lived in the same building and the men were comrades in arms. It wouldn't be good to make things so awkward. But she also felt that Shang Lihua and the others were mean-spirited. It was a matter of mutual consent between the young couple, and it had nothing to do with these women. They were all just complaining about the sour grapes and being jealous. My Lu Yi is not feeling unwell. He ate 5 bowls of rice a night. Wan Qiqi put a basin of water on the ground, and her hands always felt sore from holding it. Lu Danny was choked and looked at her in an indescribable manner. This girl seemed very smart, so why couldn't she understand? With her ability to express herself, right? Sister Lu, my Lu Yi went there to deepen the friendship between his comrades. He treats his comrades with such enthusiasm and passion. Really, my Lu Ye's merits cannot be counted in 3 days and 3 nights. Wan Qiqi looked particularly proud, with a proud tone of, "You are worthy of being my man." Lu Danny and the other military wives were silent. They finally confirmed that this Miss Wan was indeed not very smart. To her is like talking to a deaf person, it's completely irrelevant, and I feel so tired. Lu Yi, what do you mean? If you have something to say, tell me face to face. Don't play tricks on me. Why should I, your cousin, wash the dishes for you? The roar of Captain Su came from downstairs. He also had a bad temper and was no less angry than Captain Zhou. Captain Su is a terrible person. He has no comradeship at all. Wan Qiqi said this as she ran downstairs quickly. After hesitating for a few seconds, Lu Danny and the other women also ran down quickly. There were already quite a few people standing in front of Captain Su's house. Your cousin said it herself, that men have to work hard outside, so women should work more. She keeps saying this every other day. It's obvious that she is born to work like a cow or a horse. In order to satisfy her desire to work, I specially carried the bowls from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor.
My hands are sore from carrying them.
You didn't thank me, but you cursed at me. Are you still a human being? Lu Ye's curse was heard immediately afterwards. His voice was lazy, and there was a special kind of ruffian and relaxed madness in it, which could be heard at once. You're here to cause trouble, aren't you? You don't have any servants? You want my servants to wash a few bowls. Lu Yi, get out of here. I'm going to fight you in a one-on-one duel. Captain Su's face turned blue with anger, and he felt that Lu Yi was deliberately causing trouble. Even though he didn't remember having offended this madman, he had been bullied right at his doorstep, so he had to defend his dignity and teach this madman a lesson. You are an old man, and my cousin told me to respect the old and love the young, and not to fight. Su Xingli, I am talking to you rationally. Don't you understand me? This matter was initiated by your cousin. I am happy to help my cousin wash clothes, dishes, and mop the floor. Why do you say that my cousin is lazy? There are so many women in the world, but she is the most diligent? She is the most outstanding? Since she is so outstanding, she can take care of all the work in my house. Wash the dishes first, and I will bring the clothes over tomorrow. Let your cousin empty the urine pot in the morning. If your cousin does a good job, I will definitely vote for her in this year's election of model military wives. Lu Yi was not impatient at all, and spoke slowly and reasonably. Ji Xianglian's face turned paler and paler, and she began to panic. Some readers said that there are many dialects in the text, which affects the reading. I am really sorry. I will try my best to pay attention. In some places, it is indeed more contextual to use dialects. For example, Tonka means wife in Hunan dialect. I usually explain it. There may be some omissions. I'm sorry. Lu Yi and Xia Tao met at the gate. They looked at each other and snorted at the same time. I have one more than you. Lu Yi was very proud, he won. Mine is more valuable. Xia Tao straightened Kakuno Chinatz's face, which looked exactly like hers. She said proudly, according to the bounty order of Sinlu, My face is worth $1 million, while yours are worthless. That's not necessarily true. Chi-Chi can disguise herself, so she is still valuable. Lu Yi has full confidence in his wife. She only needs to put on some makeup, deceive the killer organization, and get some money. Stop arguing and leave immediately. Ruan Chi-Chi scolded him, and once Kikuno Masato came to his senses, it would not be so easy to retreat. They returned to a secluded alley where Mo Jinsong rented a house and agreed to meet there. She can be exchanged for 1 million. These two are useless.
Kill them.
Mo Jinsong took a look at the unconscious Kikuno Chinatsu and was overjoyed because this was a walking gold mountain. Keiko Sanada and her husband look so different that they are of little value. It would be a shame to kill him. Give me half an hour. Ruan Chi-Chi took out cosmetics from her bag and applied them on Xia Tao's parents' faces. Half an hour later, the two of them had completely changed their appearance, turning into the appearance of Mo Jinsong and Ruan Chi-Chi in Sinlu. She also glued a fake beard on Xia Tao's father and painted his skin black, making him exactly the same as Kumar played by Mo Jinsong. Sanada Keiko was the first to wake up. She opened her eyes and saw the indifferent Xia Tao. She cried out, "Chio?
Chio is dead."
She died when you gave her to Kikuno Masato. Xia Tao looked at her coldly. She no longer needed motherly love. From now on, she would be Xia Tao, and her only mother was her dead adoptive mother. Chio, I can't resist your grandfather. I'm sorry, but I'm useless. Keiko Sanada shed tears and kept apologizing. Shut up, you jerk. Ruan Chi-Chi glared fiercely. What she hated most was this kind of weak mother who couldn't even protect her own child and could only cry when something happened. What a waste of time it was to give birth to a child. The cowardly young master also woke up and opened his mouth to curse, but was pierced in the mute point by Ruan Chi-Chi. Sanada Keiko and Kikuno Chinatsu were also pierced. The three members of the family all woke up. Kikuno Chinatsu and her daughter glared at Xia Tao. If they could speak, they would definitely curse out all the dirty words they had learned in their lives. Sanada Keiko just cried and looked at her daughter with guilt, but Xia Tao was indifferent. She even said deliberately, I wanted to kill you with my own hands, but it would be a pity to let you die quickly, so I decided to exchange you for some money. Whether you can survive depends on how lucky you are. Keiko Sanada's tears flowed down. She didn't expect that her eldest daughter would be so hateful, but she was really powerless. No one in the family dared to disobey Masato Kikuno. What could she do? Kikuno Chinatsu and her daughter opened their mouths wide and roared silently. If looks could kill, they would have killed Xia Tao thousands of times. Ruan Chi-Chi put makeup on the three of them again, and their appearance changed. She used high-tech materials from later times, so people today would definitely not be able to tell the difference. Xia Tao slapped Kikuno Chinatsu unconscious and carried her on her shoulders and walked away. Lu Yi also knocked out the remaining two men, picked up one in each hand, and followed behind. Xia Tao led the way. She knew the base of the Kyoto International Killer Organization. When she was hungry, she worked part-time as a killer and earned a lot of money. Ruan Chi-Chi also followed, while Mo Jinsong and Manzai stayed in the house. Xia Tao took them to a nightclub, which was full of bright lights and wine, and was filled with men who were drunk late at night, flirting with the barmaids while drinking. The lights in the club were very dim, and the atmosphere was particularly ambiguous, with the frivolous laughter of men coming from time to time. Call me Daniel. I'm his regular customer. Xia Tao found the mama-san with ease, took out a large denomination bill, and slapped it on the table. The mama-san was heavily made up, her face was whiter than the wall, and the smile on her face was like a mask. She took the money with a smile and said softly, Please follow me. The mama-san led them through many twists and turns and entered a room. As soon as the door was closed, the vulgar mama-san immediately became like a different person. The smile on her face disappeared. She raised her head proudly and looked at them with scrutiny. Look at their three faces. Xia Tao pinched Kikuno Chinatsu's chin and forced her to raise her head. Although Mama-san's expression did not change, A hint of surprise flashed to her eyes. Wan Chichi raised the faces of Keiko Sanada and her husband again, and the smile on Mama-san's face returned. She asked, "What about the others? If they run away, how much reward can these three get?" Xia Tao asked impatiently, looking like she was greedy for money. "Old rules, I'll take 10%, and you have 4.5 million US dollars, said Mama-san. "Deal, I want cash." Xia Tao recalled almost all the misery that had happened to her before she managed to suppress the smile. The net profit was 4.5 million US dollars, which was a huge profit. If she had known that Chi-Chi's disguise skills were so powerful, she would have captured a few more people just now and tried to get the tens of millions of US dollars. "Don't worry, I'll check the goods first." Mama-san took out the bounty portrait and compared it with those of Kikuno Chinatsu and the other two. Their faces were indeed exactly the same, and the fierce looks in the three people's eyes were exactly the same as in the portrait. But she was still very careful. She pinched the faces of the three people several times. When she felt nothing unusual, she felt relieved and went to get the money happily. 4.5 million US dollars were packed into 6 safes. The three of them took 2 each and said goodbye to Mama-san. "Catch the remaining few and come find me again." Mama-san laughed so hard that her body shook and the white powder on her face fell off. Xia Tao made an okay gesture, picked up the 2 safes, and walked away quickly, soon disappearing into the night sky. With Mo Jinsong and the others, they rushed to the harbor overnight. They had to leave before the old man Kikuno Masato could react, otherwise the whole city would be blocked, and it would not be easy to leave. Louis got a car on the roadside and quickly arrived at the harbor. He easily avoided the staff and quietly boarded a cargo ship heading to the port city. The cargo ship was very large, so he could just find a corner to hide in. As long as he had enough food and water, he would definitely not be discovered. "It doesn't matter if you find them. Kill them, and I'll drive the boat." Xia Tao's tone was cold. She said killing someone was easier than killing a chicken. "Can you drive a boat?"
Louis asked.
"Certainly." Xia Tao's tone was particularly proud, but after meeting Wan Chi-Chi's half-smile, she turned her head away guiltily and whispered, "I will definitely do it, but I haven't really tried it." Wan Chi-Chi sneered. She knew that this crazy woman was bragging again. She will never believe a single word of this crazy woman's nonsense again. "Really, I'm a better boat driver than I am a plane driver." Xia Tao's tone was sincere, but no one believed her. She had a bump on her head from the last time she was on the plane, and the bump hasn't healed yet. They hid in the cargo hold, which was filled with boxes with words written on them from the Sakura country. However, it was too dark in the cargo hold, and they couldn't see clearly what was written on them. The ship started, gradually increasing in speed, and left the harbor. Masato Kikuno and his men arrived at the harbor. The cargo ship had already left the waters of the Sakura country. He could only leave in disappointment. When he returned to the old house and saw the charred ruins, he felt a sweetness in his throat and swallowed it hard. With the treasure in the dark room, the Kikuno family will surely be able to make a comeback. Masato Kikuno comforted himself silently. He sent people to search the whole city for the whereabouts of Chinatsu Kikuno. The cowardly son was dead, so he died. Chinatsu Kikuno must be found. It was dark and there was no news from Chinatsu Kikuno's family of 3. Masato Kikuno quietly went down to the lake, swam to the dark room, opened the iron door, and saw an empty place. All the treasures were gone. Puff! Masato Kikuno spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. It must be that Zich Kikuno Chio. Once he catches her, he will skin her alive and drink her blood to ease the hatred in his heart. Wan Chi-Chi first went back to the compound to pick up Manzai, and he had to go and sign the agreement in person.
"Oh my."
She entered the yard. The big yellow dog, who was lazily lying in the sun, wagged its tail quickly and ran up to her to act coquettishly. "Mama, be good." Wan Chi-Chi stretched out her hand, touched the dog's head a few times, and fed it a few sausages. The yellow dog, which was originally the most fierce one in the compound, was captured by her sausage and was more attentive to her than to his master Manzai. The big yellow dog is a male, 3 years old, and his real name is Mama, which was given to him by Manzai. Manzai likes to play house with others. He plays the father and others play the mother, but no other children are willing to cooperate. 3 years ago, he picked up a little yellow dog, took it home, named it Mom, and played house with it. Guan Jihua and Grandpa Lu thought the name was inappropriate, so they changed it to Mama. Guan Chichi added a sauce and called it Mama Sauce. Perhaps because the ham sausage was prestigious enough, the yellow dog accepted the new name very quickly. Chichi, are you going out to play again? Manzai ran out happily, with hopeful eyes. Going out to collect debts several times, Manzai's heart became wild. He didn't even want to play with his favorite building blocks. He looked forward to Guan Chichi coming to pick him up every day. Yes, where are your parents? At home, Dad, Mom. Chichi is here. While calling, Manzai went to make tea and took out some melon seed snacks from the cupboard, cooking them in a very proper manner. After the two elders went downstairs, Guan Jihua looked much better and even walked less lamely. Uncle Lu, Mama Guan, I have something to tell you. Guan Chichi didn't say which department, she just said she would take Manzai to work. The salary is 100 yuan and Manzai will only work with me. I promise that I will take good care of Manzai and will never let anything happen to him. Chichi, you must first ensure your own safety. Manzai can serve the country. Even if he has something, it is more important than Mount Tai. Your Uncle Lu and I will only be relieved. We are especially grateful that you can take Manzai with you, but you don't have to put yourself in danger to take care of Manzai. Guan Jihua spoke earnestly, and Mr. Lu nodded as well. Of course they hope that their son can live a long life, but the depth of life is more important than its length. If Manzai sacrifices his life for the country, they will be sad but will never regret it. Instead of locking Manzai up at home and letting him live a miserable life, it is better to let him go out and explore the world happily. Even if something really happens, it will be a worthy death, and they will only be proud of Manzai. Don't worry, Manzi and I will be safe. We will be fine. Guan Chichi solemnly assured that she had space and 9 lives, so how could anything happen to her? Manzai is even less likely to happen. If there is real danger, just knock him out and bring him into the space. After chatting with the two elders, Guan Chichi took Manzai to Wudong Western Pastry Shop. Manzai rode the bike and Guan Chichi sat behind him. Mama Jiang's 4-wheel drive was full of power and she ran happily behind him. Guan Jihua and Mr. Lu stood at the gate of the courtyard, watching their backs as they left with satisfaction. Our son Manzai has a job now and will be supported by the government in the future, all thanks to Chichi and Xiaoya. Guan Jihua couldn't hide his happiness in his tone and was very grateful to Guan Chichi and Lu Yi. Even if she were to close her eyes immediately now, she would die without regrets. Good days are still to come. We must live well and enjoy the blessings of our children. Mr. Lu patted his wife on the back and joked with a smile. The two elders supported each other and went into the house happily. Guan Chichi and Manzai also found the Wudong Western Pastry Shop. The tempting aroma wafted from the door of the shop, making Mama Jiang drool. We have friends all over the world, comrade. Give me a piece of chestnut cake, without chestnuts. Guan Chichi said politely. Serve the people wholeheartedly. Can I add almonds? A short and fat man in his 30s with a round face walked over. He smiled amiably and spoke with a distinct Shanghai accent. More caramel, please. Guan Chichi finished speaking. The two exchanged glances, and the round-faced man smiled and said, Comrade, please follow me. He said something to another young clerk, then took Guan Chichi, Manzai, and Mama Jiang to the kitchen. The kitchen looked no different from a normal Western pastry kitchen. The round-faced man pressed a button behind the bread oven, and a small door opened next to the bread oven, just enough for one person to enter and exit. This dog is very energetic. What's his name? The round-faced man liked Mama Jiang very much and reached out to stroke the dog's head, but Mama Jiang was not a good person. She bared her fangs and almost bit a hole in his hand.
Mom. Mama, sha.
Manzai and Guan Chichi answered at the same time. The round-faced man was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Both names are good. He took out a piece of bread from his pocket and threw it over. Mama Jiang bit it accurately and ate it up in ravenous mouth. But she was not satisfied, so she took the initiative to run to the round-faced man, raised her head high, and begged him to stroke her. The round-faced man smiled with great satisfaction and fed Mama Jiang a few more pieces of bread edges, completely conquering her and jerking her off several times. After walking along a narrow road and going down dozens of steps, the round-faced man finally stopped, tapped on the wall 3 times, opened a door, and they went in and saw Pei Yuan with a smile on his face. "Welcome to Join 759. Wan Chi-Chi," and Manzai looked at him calmly. Pei Yuan did not get a warm response, so he touched his nose a little angrily and led them to sign the confidentiality agreement. After signing the agreement, you will become a formal employee of 759. In order to facilitate operations, our comrades are called by code names. Comrade 1, Comrade Lu, what code names do you want to use? Pei Yuan asked. Dear Flower, Wan Chi-Chi blurted out. She just wanted to be a beautiful, cool, and delicate flower. Manzai didn't understand the meaning of the code name, so Wan Chi-Chi explained. What do you want others to call you?
Dad.
Manzai said happily. Pei Yuan immediately objected. Dad, no, you can use any nickname, but you can't be arbitrary. Think of another one. If I really give him a code name for Dad, he will have to call me Dad every day. What a loss. Wan Chi-Chi agreed very much. She also didn't want to call Manzai Dad. Finally, Wan Chi-Chi named it Fumanduo, which means the instant noodles she loved to eat when she was a child in her previous life. It was cheap, large in quantity and filling. The two of them have no tasks for the time being. Pei Yuan said he would call them if there is a task. Wan Chi-Chi will go to college in the second half of the year and can still work in the winery for the time being. When they left, the round-faced man Ding Yi gave Ma Jiang a bag of breadcrumbs, but Wan Chi-Chi took half of it. She ate a piece on the way and found it tasted so good that she snatched the food from the dog's mouth without hesitation. Mama Jiang protested, but it was futile and she could only accept it. The two went home directly. Wan Chi-Chi planned to collect the debt slowly and wait until school started, so she was not in a hurry to ask Gao Yufei for money. She went home and lay down. He lay there for 3 days. Brother Lu Jiefeng at the border was anxiously waiting. After patrolling every day, they would stand on the road the postman must pass, waiting eagerly with their necks stretched a lot. They had spent their last 50 cents and were completely penniless and out of food and ammunition. Brother, did your sister-in-law not receive the letter? Lu Yuanchao was so hungry that he felt dizzy. He found that Hautuinia cordata was added to the porridge in the cafeteria at noon. He really couldn't understand why this stinky grassroot could be used as a dish. The other comrades ate with gusto, but he and his brother spit out every bite they took. The squad leader scolded them and punished them to finish the bowl of porridge and run 10 kilometers. After eating the porridge, they only had 1/3 of their lives left, and after running, they only had 1/4 of their lives left. Lu Yuanchao touched his stomach and swore in his heart with gritted teeth. He and Jair Zhen are sworn enemies. One day, he will burn all the Jair Zhen in this darn place. Lu Jiefeng didn't even have the strength to speak. He finished the bowl of Hautuinia cordata and vomited his breakfast. Now his chest was sticking to his back, his eyes were blacking, and he only had 1/5 of his life left. One day, he will burn all the Jair Zhen in this darn place. Lu Jiefeng didn't even have the strength to speak. He finished the bowl of Hautuinia cordata and vomited his breakfast. Now his chest was sticking to his back, his eyes were blacking, and he only had 1/5 of his life left. Brother, is the postman here? Lu Yuan, Brother Doji, do you have our remittance slip? The two brothers stretched their heads as far as they could, wishing they could put their heads into the mail package to take a look. Lu Jiefeng, right? Here's the remittance slip. It's a lot of money. The postman was extremely envious. He had never seen so much money in his life and felt he could spend it until he died. Ha 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 ha. Lu Jiefeng was stunned for a moment, then he was ecstatic. His sister-in-law really sent him money. He and his brother would not starve to death. He signed, he finally got the remittance slip. When he saw the amount on it, He blinked and kicked his brother decisively.
Ah,
Brother, why did you kick me? Lu Yuanchao cried out in pain and questioned angrily. Ha ha ha. This is really a blessing. We're going to get rich. My sister-in-law must be bad at math. She must have made a mistake in the calculations. Lu Jifeng hugged his brother and shouted happily. He hadn't received the letter yet and thought Wan Chichi was bad at math and had miscalculated the account, so he sent so much extra money. Thank the party, thank the people, thank my ex-girlfriend, and thank my sister-in-law. Lu Jiafeng thanked her in his heart and was very grateful to Wan Chichi. Although she was fierce, she was good at accounting. Come on, I'll take you to the cafeteria to cook a special meal. Lu Jiafeng pulled his brother and ran towards the cafeteria, taking the remittance slip with him. The money could not be withdrawn until tomorrow, but he could use the slip to pay for a big meal in advance.
Tashi Delek.
Basahi. Thanks, sister-in-law. Finally finished writing. The author has tried Hautuinia cordata several times, but couldn't eat it. I really can't enjoy this delicacy. I hope that one day I will suddenly get the hang of it, just like eating durian, and be able to enjoy the deliciousness of Hautuinia cordata. Also, although today is the third update, there are nearly 8,000 words. The author is not lazy. He stayed at home to write during the National Day. Darlings, can you give me some free gifts or 5-star praise? Does Masato Kikuno know that it was you who did it? Wan Chichi asked.
He doesn't know.
I kept it a secret from him. I tricked that idiot Chiharu Kikuno into coming here. She will marry into the Fukuyama family in the spring of next year. The invitations have been sent out. Masato Kikuno attaches great importance to this marriage. The more Xia Tao spoke, the deeper her smile became, and she did not try to hide her gloating. It's a pity that she couldn't see the old man's anger with her own eyes. What do you want? Wan Chichi asked directly. Give me a job with high salary, leisure time, and where I can kill Japanese. I know you are from 759, so I will be your colleague. Xia Tao did not hide anything and directly stated her purpose. Although she stole a lot of gold, silver, and jewelry from the Kikuno family, she couldn't sell them now. She still had to find a job, otherwise she would starve to death. Wan Chichi's mouth twitched. The Japanese soldier said in front of her that she wanted to kill them. How crazy! 759 impossible. You just said it. Who knows if it's a conspiracy between you and the Kikuno family? Wan Chichi refused. All the employees of 759 were Chinese, and they had never hired foreign employees, so he was afraid that it would not work. Everything is possible. Wait, I will give you a big gift. Then you will see my sincerity. Classmate Wan Chichi, please say a few good words for me in front of the leaders. As she spoke the following part, Xia Tao's voice suddenly became artificial, exactly the same as Kikuno Chinatsu's voice. Her expression and temperament also changed, and it was impossible to tell her apart from Kikuno Chinatsu. Wan Chichi narrowed her eyes slightly. This Xia Tao could obviously imitate the character perfectly, but she deliberately revealed her flaws. It seemed that she really wanted to stab the Kikui family in the back. But it is understandable. The Kikuno family only treated Xia Tao as a tool and killed her adoptive parents. She must hate the family. That depends on what your gift is. Wan Chichi's tone softened a little. If the gift was big enough, she could indeed say a few nice words. Although they are not of our race, strictly speaking, the Sakura country has been a vassal state of China since ancient times and will become a province of China in the future, so they are not considered a foreign race. Moreover, Xia Tao hates the Japanese so much and is very capable. If she is recruited as a general, she will be a great general. There will be a surprise soon. Xia Tao smiled mysteriously, turned and left, yawning. She was exhausted from working so late at night. Even if she goes to 759 in the future, she will never work overtime and pay. Well, it depends on how much you pay. After walking a few steps, Xia Tao stopped, turned her head, and said to the big tree beside the rooftop, "It's very cold up there. Go back and sleep." A muffled sound was heard among the lush branches and leaves. Xia Tao smiled and quickened her pace. When she was almost at the door, she slowed down again. It's not that she can't walk fast, But the three clumsy guys at the door are in a panic and almost tumbling down the stairs. It's better to give them more time. Su Erfeng reacted the fastest. When she saw Xia Tao coming from afar, she got up and went downstairs. He Aihong and Li Yuqin followed closely behind her. But the psychological quality of these two people was a little poor. They were too panicked when going down the stairs and were tripped by the mop in Li Yuqin's hand. Fortunately, Su Erfeng reacted quickly and grabbed one with each hand, thus avoiding a tragedy. Oh my god, I'm so scared. Li Yuqin was still frightened. She was plump, and if she really fell, she would definitely roll from the 4th floor to the 1st floor and would be disabled at least if not dead. Hurry up, they're coming. He Aihong was scared to death, afraid that Wan Qiqi would find out and put a curse on her. Xia Tao stood at the door, listening to the panicked voices of the three people. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but rise. How stupid. Why don't you leave? Wan Qiqi asked from behind. Hush. Xia Tao turned around and put her hand to her lips. Wan Qiqi also heard the noise in the corridor and couldn't help but laugh. The three idiots finally returned to the dormitory. They didn't even have time to take off their clothes and quickly got into bed. Not long after, the door opened and Wan Qiqi and Xia Tao came in. After they got into bed, Sheng Wanqing also came in. The dormitory was very quiet, but the sound of breathing was obvious, coming from He Weihong and the others. Wan Qiqi and the others pretended not to hear anything. They went to bed, covered their heads, and fell asleep quickly. The next morning, she called Manzai and told him not to come to school.
Peacefully.
Xia Tao did not move at all and attended classes with everyone else every day, except that she always sat in the last row and slept. Teacher Jing talked to her, but she said she was not feeling well and the teacher could do nothing about it. Wan Qiqi asked Shushu to keep an eye on Xia Tao at all times, but there was no news in the past 3 days. All Xia Tao did was eat and sleep. She was lazier than a pig, but her complexion had improved a lot, and there was a little color on her face. Another day passed, and on Friday, Shushu reported the latest news. The fake one is here. Wan Qiqi was cheered up and went to the place where Xia Tao and Qianxia met, which was in a small woods not far from the dormitory building. There were many people here in summer, but now it was cold and few students came here. Xia Tao and Kakuno Chinatsu were talking face to face in the woods. They were wearing exactly the same clothes, and from a distance it looked like they were looking in a mirror. You haven't been exposed in the past 3 days, right? Kakuno Chinatsu asked coldly. In front of her own sister, she was very arrogant and spoke in a domineering manner because she was the eldest daughter of the Kakuno family and Kakuno Chio was just a killing tool, not even as good as her toes. No, the Chinese are all very stupid. Don't you know that very well? Xia Tao answered respectfully. They are indeed stupid. They don't deserve to live on such a vast land. When we succeed in our counterattack, these stupid Chinese will be my servants. Kakuno Chinatsu raised her chin and said something that really deserved a beating. Wan Qiqi, who was hiding in the tree, gritted her teeth. Darn it, just based on this sentence she had to kill this little zitch. Candlesticks, lampshades, staffs, and bone whips were all made, and then dried into jerky to serve as food for Xiao Ming and Xiao Yu. That's right, such a vast land should be ours, but I have to deal with Wan Qiqi first. My grandfather ordered that this woman must die. Xia Tao followed what the idiot said, and also mentioned Wan Qiqi. Leave Wan Qiqi to me. I have already tested her. This woman is allergic to pollen. As long as we lure her up the mountain, she will be our meat on the chopping board, and we can slaughter her at will. Kakuno Chinatsu was confident. She had already made all the arrangements. As long as she could lure the people to the mountain, she could kill Wan Qiqi. Miss Qianxia is really smart. Wan Qiqi and I have been together for 3 days and have not found out anything. Xia Tao complimented him but sneered in her heart. Pollen allergy was the secret passed back by the mantis. Kakuno Chinatsu loved to take credit for other people's work. However, she doubted the authenticity of the secret. Wan Qiqi was so cunning. How could she take the initiative to expose her weaknesses? It must be intentional to lure this idiot into the trap. What can you compare with me? I am the eldest daughter carefully trained by the Kikuno family. Kikuno Chinatsu looked at Xia Tao with disdain. She was not comparable to her, in any way. In fact, her talent was much better than her sister, but her grandfather only wanted her to get married. She didn't want to marry Fukuyama-kun at all. She heard that he was a shorty and very ugly. She didn't want to marry an ugly guy. Xia Tao sneered secretly. She intentionally told this idiot that Fukuyama-kun was an ugly dwarf. If she instigated him a few more times, the idiot would really think that he was the best in the world. He even wanted to compete with Kikuno Taro for the position of heir and ran to China to grab the mission. Yes, I am not as good as Miss Chinatsu. Xia Tao lowered her head and apologized sincerely. Kikuno Chinatsu was very satisfied with her tact and gave orders. I will go to the dormitory tomorrow night and ask Wan Chichi to go hiking on Sunday. You take people to intercept them on the mountain. I have already made arrangements. Let's take a few more people with us. Sheng Wanqing is a retired Special Forces soldier with great skills. She will definitely go hiking with us. Xia Tao suggested. This is my token. Chinatsu Kikuno took out her token, which allowed her to command her men in Tanzhou. Xia Tao raised the corners of her mouth. What a fool. He took the bait easily. 15 years later, in 1994, the spring breeze of reform and opening up swept across the country, and people's lives improved significantly. You no longer needed tickets to buy things. You could buy them with money. Meat can be seen on the table every now and then. Televisions and bicycles are no longer rare. There are many more cars and motorcycles on the streets of Tanzhou, and people's clothing has become much more fashionable. As the economy developed rapidly, people's spiritual needs also increased. The mainland introduced a large number of film and television works from Hong Kong and Taiwan. Gang movies were popular in Hong Kong in the 1980s and 1990s, promoting brotherhood and fighting. The movie is so good that many teenagers become addicted to it after watching it. The most affected are primary and secondary schools. Gangs like the 13 Tigers, the Dragon and Tiger Gang, the Butterfly Cult, etc. were all founded by children. They even imitated the movies and made appointments to fight after school and fight each other. Many children in the family compound were also poisoned, including Wang Tsuehua's youngest son, 15-year-old Niu Xingyun. When Wang Tsuehua was 42 years old. In the second month after the birth, the military regions strictly enforced family planning, especially for cadres, who were required to set an example. The child was really lucky and escaped. The 3 children above all went to different places, and only the youngest son was left by his side. Inevitably, he was spoiled a little, and thus Niu Xingyun developed an extremely bold and reckless character. You are such a jerk, and you still think you are the big brother? Your organization is illegal, your father is the battalion commander, your mother is the team leader, and your son is the leader of the illegal organization. You have brought shame to the Niu family, and you even dared to gather a crowd to fight and split someone's head. I will beat you to death first, so that you won't hurt others in the future. Wang Tsuehua's curses of disappointment could be heard from the house. The whole building heard it, and the neighbors all went over to try to stop the fight. Niu Xingyun lay on the sofa with his hands on his back and his butt raised high. Wang Tsuehua whipped him hard with a bamboo whip, cursing as she whipped him. In the afternoon, she was called to school by the teacher, who severely criticized her and asked her to discipline her son strictly. Otherwise, he would definitely have to go to a juvenile detention center in the future. Wang Tsuehua originally thought that her youngest son was just naughty, but she didn't expect him to be so bad. He created the 13 guardians like in the movies. He is the eldest brother, with 12 younger brothers under him. He always makes fights with a neighboring school. Yesterday, he split the head of a child next door. The child's parents came to the school to complain. She went to the hospital to see the child. His head had required more than 20 stitches. If the doctor had used more severe force, he would have been sent directly to the crematorium. Wang Tsuehua was both angry and relieved. She paid for the medical expenses and nutrition fees and said all the nice things she could. Finally, she reached a settlement with the other parent and angrily dragged her younger son home to teach him a lesson. They always bully people in our school, charge tolls, and bully female classmates. I am the eldest brother, and have the obligation to protect them.
Ouch.
Mom, be gentle. Neo Xingyun held his head high, feeling very confident. He didn't think he was wrong. The school next door was a vocational school with a lot of second-rate kids who always bullied people from their school. As the eldest brother, he naturally had to stand up to protect his classmates. What kind of big brother are you? You are just a complete idiot. There are so many people in the school, and you're the only idiot who jumped out to be the first one to stand out. When the time comes, it will be you, an idiot, who will go to the juvenile detention center. The school has teachers and leaders, and it is not your turn to stand out. How could I give birth to such a stupid thing like you? Oh, I am so angry. Wang Suihua was so angry that she cried harder and harder, and Neo Xingyun's proud had gradually lowered, and her face was covered with tears and snot. They chose me to be the eldest brother, and brotherhood comes first. I can't.
Oh.
Mom, please stop hitting me. If you continue to hit me, you will have no son. You idiot, you only talk about justice on the battlefield. What you did was illegal gathering and fighting. If you do it again, I will kill you first. Wang Suihua was so angry that her heart ached, but unfortunately her husband and eldest son were not at home. Otherwise, if they had taken action, they would have definitely beaten the brat into submission. When the neighbors heard the whole story, they all blamed Neo Xingyun. I sent you to school so that you could study hard. You always fight and make trouble. No wonder your mother beats you. It's all the movies that teach people bad things. They can't learn good things, but they can learn bad things. In my opinion, those movies should be banned. They only teach children bad things. Don't say you're lucky. My son is the same. I beat him up yesterday. Several mothers in the family building felt the same way and started to criticize the recently popular Hong Kong movies. Aunt Suihua, what happened? Wan Baobao's voice sounded. The 18-year-old girl was tall and slender and had completely lost the plumpness of her childhood. She was 170 centimeters tall and had a well-proportioned figure. She looked very similar to Wan Qiqi, with a cute and sweet appearance. Moreover, she speaks sweetly and politely, and both adults and children in the family compound like her very much. But this is just Wan Baobao's appearance. In fact, she is a loli with super strength. When she gets angry, her strength is so great that only her brother Potato can control her. Her sweet and harmless appearance and terrifying strength make it particularly convenient for her to catch bad guys, and she can complete the task excellently every time. That's right, Tu Do and Wan Baobao, brother and sister, have both joined 759. There are also Shengguan Xian and the siblings from the Chao family. However, there is only one group in Tanzhou 759 now. Groups A and B have been merged. Pei Yuan and Director Mu have both been promoted. Now the person in charge of Tanzhou 759 is Ding Yi. Ding Yi had originally been transferred to Yangcheng, but because his beloved daughter insisted on staying with Wan Baobao, and Pei Yuan and Director Mu both pushed him to be in charge of Tanzhou 759, he was transferred back and became the immediate superior of Wan Baobao and the other children. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi are already veterans of Unit 759. They seldom accept missions and only take on important tasks. Wan Baobao will take the college entrance examination in July. Her academic performance is average, but as an employee of 759, the college entrance examination is just a formality. She can choose any university in China. She chose Wan Qiqi's alma mater, Wuhan University. It is now June, and there is still half a month left before the college entrance examination. Unlike other college entrance examination students, Wan Baobao is not nervous at all and even has time to read novels. She just went to the bookstore to rent a complete set of Demigods and Semi-Devils and planned to work overtime to finish reading it in the evening because Aunt Tao said it was very good and strongly recommended it to her. Downstairs, she heard the howling of Neo Xingyun on the second floor, which was even more miserable than a pig being slaughtered, so Wan Baobao went over to watch the fun. Baby's back. This jerk was so bold that he got into a fight with a group of people and broke someone's head. Wang Suehua calmed down a bit and talked about the great achievements that jerk had done. The more she talked, the angrier she became, and she couldn't help but pick up the bamboo whip to beat him again.
Ah.
Sister baby, save me. Niu Xingyun cleverly hid behind Ron Baobao. If he was beaten any further, his butt would surely be rotten, and he wouldn't be able to poop. Aunt Suehua, I understand what you mean. You want Lucky to study hard and behave himself, right? Bao Bao Ron gave a summary. Yes, baby. You are very capable. Don't you have a solution? Wang Suehua looked hopeful. Wan Qiqi was so capable, and her daughter must be strong too. She would definitely be able to control this jerk. She doesn't ask her son to be successful, just an ordinary person who abides by the law. He should not learn from the gangsters in the movies, because none of them have a good ending. Aunt Suehua, I want to eat some white sugar cakes. We have finished all the glutinous rice wine at home. Wan Baobao took the opportunity to make a request that she would not work for nothing. I'll make it for you. As long as this jerk walks the right path, I'll give him plenty of sugar cakes and glutinous rice wine. Wang Suehua agreed readily. Just wait for the good news. Wan Baobao assured her confidently, and Wang Suehua felt relieved immediately. She went to prepare the ingredients for the white sugar cake and glutinous rice wine. Yu Xiaomei is 5 years older than her husband, has an average appearance, and was married for the second time when she married Mao Xiujia. Yu Xiaomei was unhappy with her first husband's lack of sexual ability, so she divorced him. She was single for several years and then met Mao Xiujia, a young, handsome man with a sweet mouth and good at coaxing people. The two hit it off and got married soon. Yu Xiaomei has lived a very happy life these years. Mao Xiujia is good at pretending. He pretends to be gentle in public and a good man at home. He takes care of all the housework and provides emotional value to Yu Xiaomei. Therefore, Yu Xiaomei lives a good life. During this period, Yu Xiaomei thought about divorce again because she met a younger and more handsome man who is better at coaxing people than Mao Xiujia. He made her infatuated with him, and she just wanted to divorce Mao Xiujia and spend the rest of her life with Mao Fuxiang. If Yu Xiaomei hadn't been worried about being scolded by her parents, she would definitely not have been undecided until now. But she couldn't hold on for long. She was a lustful person, and Mao Fuxiang's appearance and temperament were exactly what she wanted. Now she just wanted to give Mao Fuxiang a home and kick Mao Xiujia out of the house. Wan Qiqi still admires Xiaomei very much. In this era, there are really not many women who dare to love and hate. Many women with better family backgrounds than Yu Xiaomei cannot do what she does. For example, Zhang Weihong lives like a nun every day and is extremely miserable. Yu Xiaomei worked at the Post and Telecommunications Bureau. Her job was very leisurely. She had no intention of going to work at all. She just wanted to get off work as soon as possible because Mao Fuxiang asked her to go to the woods. When Yu Xiaomei thought about enjoying the young and strong Mao Fuxiang in the evening, she no longer had the heart to work and just looked forward to getting off work quickly. Wan Qiqi went into the post office and told Xiaomei that she wanted to send a telegram. Write it here. Yu Xiaomei lazily asked her to write down the content of the telegram. Wan Qiqi wrote a sentence and put it in the window. Yu Xiaomei took a look and didn't react at first, but soon her expression changed because the paper said, Mao Fuxiang is Mao Xiujia's nephew. He hired him with money. Yu Xiaomei didn't believe it. She asked Mao Fuxiang, and he and Mao Xiujia were indeed from the same place, but the two didn't know each other, and were not related or friends. Most of the people in their place had the surname Mao. There were hundreds of people, but she didn't know many of them.
Who are you?
How do you know Mao Fuxiang? Yu Xiaomei looked at Wan Qiqi with suspicion. She was young and beautiful, and her dress showed that she was well off. She should not like a country boy like Mao Fuxiang. She is different. She is average-looking and old. She can't get a chance to date any of the handsome young men in the city, so she can only look for one in the countryside. Come with me. Wan Qiqi turned and left. Yu Xiaomei hesitated for a few seconds and chased after him. What do you want to say? Stop playing tricks on me. If you don't believe me, then just listen to me and go. Wan Qiqi took Yu Xiaomei to the Supply and Marketing Cooperative, Mao Xiujia's office. She mentioned Mao Fuxiang. Mao Xiujie would definitely be worried and would go to Mao Fuxiang to settle the score, so she and Manzai split up. She went to find Yu Xiaomei, while Manzai stayed in the supply and marketing cooperative. Wan Qiqi and Xu Xu asked around and found out that Mao Xiujie had indeed gone out in a hurry, and Manzai climbed into his office through the window. The only telephone in the supply and marketing cooperative is in Mao Xiujie's office. Wan Qiqi raised her head and imitated the call of a bird, which was the secret signal she and Manzai agreed upon.
What a nice day.
After Wan Qiqi finished calling out, she said something seriously and then dragged Yu Xiaomei to the window of Mao Xiujie's office. The windowsill was a bit high, so Wan Qiqi pulled her down to squat. Yu Xiaomei frowned and felt that she was really stupid. How could she trust such a crazy person? She stood up and was about to leave when she suddenly heard her husband's voice from inside. Mao Fuxiang, do you still want money? I gave you so much money to keep it a secret, but you spread it around. I'm warning you, if you dare to ruin my good deeds, I'll kill you. Also, hurry up and go to bed early, Yu Xiaomei, so I can bring people to catch the adulterer. Click, the sound of a phone call being hung up. Then there was a flurry of angry curse words, and it was exactly the voice of Mao Xiujie. Yu Xiaomei's face became darker and darker, and her teeth were chattering. She had no doubt at all that the voice inside was her husband's. She had lived with Mao Xiujie for so many years, it was impossible for her to have heard it wrong. Darn it, he actually dared to set a trap for her. Thank you, sister. Yu Xiaomei was extremely grateful. If Wan Qiqi hadn't reminded her, if she was really caught in bed, even if her father was a bit capable, it would be difficult to protect her reputation. She would have to live under the gossip of others, her parents would lose face, and she would definitely lose her job. Mao Xiujie is such a cruel jerk. You're welcome. Wan Qiqi is not kind-hearted. She simply can't stand the scumbag Mao Xiujie. If you are a gigolo, you have to act like a gigolo. You want everything. It's so shameless. Yu Xiaomei was very calm and did not go to Mao Xiujie to make a scene. She returned to the post office. Wan Qiqi was also busy. She found Mao Xiujie's small treasury. He rented a room near the supply and marketing cooperative and hid the money in the stove, wrapped tightly with oil paper. There were more than 10 bundles in total. She counted them and found the total amount was 10,000 yuan, and there were still quite a few tickets. She took all the money and didn't give any to Manzai. It would be hard to explain at that time, so she would give it to Manzai after she got the bonus. Wan Qiqi returned with a full load. He went to the winery to pay the money and then went home with Manzai. The fourth unit's deadbeat owed nearly 30,000 yuan, the largest amount of debt among all the deadbeats. He was the head of a guest house in a large military factory named Gao Yufei. Wan Qiqi was not in a hurry to find Gao Yufei and planned to rest for 2 days. Gao Yufei must be a tough guy since he owed her so much money. She had to conserve her energy. As soon as she returned to the compound, the guard said to her, "Comrade Wan, there is a letter for you." Wan Qiqi thought it was sent from her hometown, but when she saw the mailing address, it turned out to be from the southwest border. Judging from the address, it should be from those two fools, Lu Jiefeng and Lu Yuanchao. Most likely they came to ask for money. Wan Qiqi didn't intend to give it to them. The army had allowances, and she was not the parent of these two idiots. She had given them 20 yuan last time, and she had already become like a mother to them. Sending Manzai home, Wan Qiqi didn't rush to open the letter. She took a nap first. It was dark when she remembered the letter. She opened a bag of spicy fish and ate it while opening the letter. There were 2 letters, each 1 page long. She first picked out the one with beautiful handwriting and looked at it. It was written by Lu Jiefeng. The handwriting of this fool was quite delicate. "Dear sister-in-law, when you read this letter, Yuan Chao and I are already in a state of severe hunger and cold, with only 1/3 of our lives left. The 20 yuan you gave us has already been spent. Now we are penniless and can hardly move. So I would like to ask you to go find my ex-girlfriend Sulina and ask for the gifts I gave her. You can convert them into cash. The total amount is about 286.5 yuan. After you get them back, you and I will each take half. The gift list is as follows. Sincerely, Salute life was worse than death. Wrote this in tears late at night on May 6, 1971. The third update is complete. The author has gone home. Mount Hai is magnificent, worthy of being the supreme of the 5 mountains. I climbed at night from the Red Gate, and it took 8 hours to reach the Jade Emperor Peak. It is best to travel light. There are water and food supplies along the way. There are many people on the mountain, and it is windy. I came down to take the cable car, which is very friendly to the legs. I also strongly recommend Taiyan's fried chicken, which is delicious. There is also corn porridge. It's my first time to eat it. It's delicious. The people of Taiyan are also very enthusiastic. Good night. Wan Chichi glanced at the list. There were quite a few things. The most expensive one was a Red Lantern brand radio, which was in short supply now. In addition to the industrial coupons, it cost 78 yuan, and most people couldn't buy it. Even if Sulina was an insider of the department store, she couldn't buy this in-demand product. But in the military compound, it was not so in short supply. There were internal quotas every year, so basically every household had one. Although Lu Jiefeng is stupid, he is Lu Dishing's son, so it is not difficult for him to get a Red Lantern brand radio. Red Lantern radio. In addition to the radio, there was also a pair of T-strap leather shoes, a Shanghai women's watch, and some small miscellaneous items. Wan Chichi roughly calculated the amount, and it was definitely more than 286.5. Lu Jiefeng, as a child from a large courtyard who is out of touch with the world, had no idea about prices and underestimated a lot. But Lu Jiefeng was very good at keeping accounts. He could even remember a handkerchief or a rubber band clearly. Wan Chichi didn't know that the Lu Jiefeng brothers' habit of keeping small accounts was thanks to Lu Yi. When the 2 brothers were young, they were beaten to death by Lu Yi. They could not defeat him, so they could only keep a secret and plan to take revenge with interest when they grew up. Unfortunately, they could never realize it in this lifetime. Wan Chichi recalculated the gifts on the list and found that they would cost at least 320.5 yuan. She picked up another letter and read it. It was written by Lu Yuanchao. The handwriting of this idiot was as stupid as he was. The radicals and strokes were so far away that they seemed to be 3 meters away. It was just that the area of the letter paper was not big enough. Otherwise, they could be farther away. Lu Yuanchao's writing skills are far worse. He kept asking her to help collect debts and made a list. Unlike his brother, he laid a lot of groundwork in the beginning, and his writing is still quite good. Sister-in-law, these are the people who owe me money, a total of 356.9 yuan. Please help me get it back, and we'll each take half. If you're willing to give me all, I'll definitely treat you like my own mother in the future. Sister-in-law, please go and get the money quickly. I'm almost starving to death. This darn place is not a place for humans to stay. Leeches suck my brother and my blood every day, and we're almost dry. Sincerely, Salute, who is about to be sucked dry. Wrote this in tears late at night on May 6, 1971. After reading the letter, Wan Chichi curled her lips. They were indeed 2 fools, Crouching Dragon and Phoenix Chu. One was cheated by his partner and the other was cheated by his bad friends. Both of them got a lot of money. However, the experience at the border was quite effective. Qingche's mind became much smarter and he knew to ask her for the debt. Wan Chichi planned to help these 2 fools. She could get big money, so small money would be easier for her. I'll go to the department store tomorrow to see how Sulina is cleaning the toilet and ask for money. Without asking that it was definitely Sulina who proposed the breakup. Before going to the border, when the 2 brothers went home on vacation, Lu Jiefeng and Sulina were still fine. But after going to the border, they became ex-lovers. Perhaps Sulina thought that Lu Dishing was really unlucky and was afraid of being implicated. Moreover, Lu Jiefeng had gone to the border and the 2 were separated, with his life or death uncertain, so it was understandable that she proposed to break up. She went back to ask the trees about the details. It was getting dark outside, and the pungent smell of chili wafted into the corridor outside. Wan Chichi took a few deep sniffs and suddenly felt hungry. It was time to make dinner. Lu Yi hadn't come back yet, and Wan Chi was too lazy to cook, so she decided to cook a bowl of rice noodles. She took out some dried rice noodles and eggs and went to the space to pick some green vegetables. Just as she walked out of the room, she heard familiar footsteps, and the corners of her lips couldn't help but rise. Lu Yagong went upstairs, carrying large and small bags, all of which were specialties from Western Hunan that he brought back. Deputy Captain Liu is back. What did you buy? So many bags? Everyone I met greeted me warmly. They're all food. Liu was in a good mood. He had been working very hard on the way home just to enjoy his reunion. He didn't throw it into the space on purpose so that people would not see it, in order to avoid people seeing him and Chi-Chi eating these specialties in the future, and arousing suspicion. Everyone was very envious. The couple Liu Yi lived the most carefree life in the family building. Liu Yi has a high salary, Wan Chi-Chi also has a job, and they have no children. Her biological father has an even higher salary and can provide some subsidies from time to time. No wonder the couple eat meat every meal and are so greedy. Chi-Chi, I'm back. While still on the second floor, Liu Yi shouted and took 5 steps at a time, and as soon as he finished speaking, he appeared at the entrance of the corridor on the 3rd floor. Wan Chi-Chi also put the dried rice noodles back and took out the ingredients to prepare a big meal to welcome him. Dinner will be later, go take a shower first. Wan Chi-Chi looked at the bags in his hands with a smile. She knew without opening them that they must be delicious. I just happened to bring some delicious food. This is sun-dried orchid meat. It's delicious with stir-fried celery and chili peppers. This is the pickled chili peppers over there. They're especially delicious. And this is the crispy chili pepper. I specially asked the chef in the cafeteria to make it. You can have it as a snack. Liu Yi took out the food he brought with him one by one, as if he was presenting treasures. A large jar of pickled peppers, a large bag of crispy peppers, and a large bag of sun-dried orchid meat, all of which he bought from the locals in a village near the hydropower station. Wan Chi-Chi ate a piece of crispy chili pepper and chewed it for a few times. It was crispy and burnt, not spicy. It would definitely be delicious to eat while watching TV series. Chili crisp pickled peppers, a childhood snack, raw sun-dried pork, celery, and dried orchid meat. Is it delicious? Liu Yi asked with a smile. It's delicious. Here's a reward for you. Wan Chi-Chi praised him generously and gave him a kiss on the cheek with her pouting lips. Liu Yi wasn't satisfied yet, so he hugged her and kissed her fiercely for a few minutes before letting her go. Go take a shower. Wan Chi-Chi glared and picked up a red pickled pepper to eat. It was sour, crunchy, and spicy. Definitely last year's stock. It tasted amazing and was delicious as a snack or with rice. She didn't know that this jar of pickled peppers was originally kept by the owner for his own consumption. There was only one jar left at home. Liu Yi came to the door and said he wanted to buy it, but the owner refused. Then he took out a $5 bill, and the owner immediately agreed. People in the mountains can't save $5 in the whole year, and they can earn $5 from a jar of pickled peppers. They would laugh in their dreams. It really is a miracle of their ancestors appearing. Liu Yi hugged her and kissed her for a while. After being pushed away by her in disgust, he went to the bathroom to take a shower with a smile. Wan Chi-Chi took a piece of sun-dried orchid meat and prepared to stir-fry it with green peppers. She had eaten this meat in her previous life. It was different from bacon. Sun-dried orchid meat was entirely lean meat. It was invented by sailors. The lean meat was marinated with rice wine and seasonings, put into a basket, and hung on the boat to air dry. It could be preserved for a long time. It was originally called shalanru, and later it was changed to lan, which has a unique flavor. In the evening, Wan Chi-Chi cooked a large table of dishes, including sun-fried pork with green peppers, pan-fried fish with chili peppers, braised pork with pork belly, pan-fried vinegar pork, stir-fried chili peppers, stir-fried vegetables, and snake soup. She served out some of each dish and made a separate bowl of soup for Liu Yi to deliver to the Gao family. Leah has good skills and does her job very well, so she needs to be won over. Liu Yi came back soon and said, Dr. said that we can finish one more set in 3 to 5 days. I know. Let's eat. Wan Chi-Chi felt better, as she would soon have a cool candlestick. The food was still gone, but they were still full and wanted more money. They didn't even put away their dishes and ran to have fun. They went out 3 times in a row. During the break, Wan Qiqi told her about the debt collection by the Liu Jiefeng brothers. Director Lin was very efficient. The next day, he went to search the 6 homes mentioned on the note. As expected, he found a lot of money from the place Wan Qiqi mentioned, with the total amount reaching more than 15,000 yuan. Director Lin was furious and showed no mercy. He reported to the police on the spot and took the 6 people away. Director Lin called to express his gratitude and fulfilled his promise. Uncle is a man of his words. I will give you 3 job quotas. As long as I am the factory director, this promise will count. But there is one thing. You must be a down-to-earth person who abides by the law. Which of the people I recommend is not reliable? Let me arrange one first. It's a sister-in-law from the staff quarters. She's as capable as my eldest sister and doesn't like to gossip about other people. But she's a little less educated. Uncle Lin, you can arrange it for me. Wan Qiqi recommended Wang Xihua. There are too few job opportunities nowadays, and many of the wives of soldiers who follow the army have neither skills nor education, so it is difficult to arrange jobs for them. The military district is also very worried. Deputy Battalion Commander Peng used his connections everywhere, but unfortunately there were too many people and too little vacancies, and Wang Xihua still didn't get the job. Wan Qiqi had a very good impression